Chapter 325. Lin Feng, your theory might have a great impact on the development of the entire continent. Grandmaster walked up to Wang Feng and said seriously, "Why don't you research martial souls with me?" Wang Feng was speechless. Wang Feng shook his head. "Are you kidding me? I don't have the time to research martial souls. I'm not interested in research." Grandmaster wasn't disappointed when Wang Feng shook his head. He only sighed. For the rest of the day, the two of them practiced controlling their martial souls and improved rapidly. Soon, it was time for the second round of the qualifiers. Wang Feng followed Shrek's team to the Great Soul Arena. This time, no one laughed at them because of their victory over the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Everyone walked in with their heads held high. They even changed their attire slightly. However, Dean Flinder did manage to advertise for Shrek Academy. Wang Feng smiled when he saw this. He was not surprised at all. Today, Shrek's 7 monsters opponent was the Elephant Armor Sect, which was one of the more than 20 teams. "I suggest you give up," Grandmaster said slowly. "With the Elephant Armor Sect strength, the 7 of you have a 50-50 chance of winning." Wang Feng was taken aback. The Elephant Armor Sect shouldn't be that strong, right? "If it's the same lineup as last time, you'll definitely lose," Grandmaster continued. "I know about the Elephant Armor Sect," Ning Rongrong said softly. "They're one of the 7 great soul sects, ranked 6th. Their martial soul is the Diamond Mammoth, which has super strength and defense. If not for the fact that their sect had never produced a titled Douluo before, they probably wouldn't have been the 6th. Their sect master, Huyin Jun, is a rank 87 soul Douluo. His defense is even stronger than some titled Douluo. But if the 7 of us fight, we should have a good chance of winning, right?" Grandmaster shook his head. "It's different. First, the arena limits your strength, so you can't fight a battle of attrition. The 7 of you are very strong, so it'll be difficult to avoid your attacks. Secondly, and most importantly, there's a mutated martial soul in the Elephant Armor Sect's team." Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Wang Feng was also stunned. Mutated martial soul? He remembered that the Elephant Armor Sect didn't have a mutated martial soul. Did it change again? Furthermore, his mutated martial spirit has mutated toward the stronger side. At this moment, Lu Erlong slowly said, "I've made some inquiries for you. This mutated martial soul is called the Flying Diamond Mammoth. To put it simply, his strength and defense had been slightly weakened. However, he had the ability to fly. It's extraordinarily strong. No wonder the master would say something like that." Wang Fengxian thought that the Diamond Mammoth's greatest weakness was its speed and clumsiness. However, if they had the ability to fly, there would be more tactical changes. The person who possesses this mutated martial soul is the chief disciple of the Elephant Armor Sect, Huyin Li. He's a class 44 defense type, soul master. The master continued, "Even if the 7 of you go up against him, your chances of winning are only about 50%. Level 44 was only slightly weaker than Dai Mubai, who had just reached level 45. If that was the case, even with the master's judgment, there was no need to mention the others. Actually, even if you give up a match, all you need to do is get a qualifying spot." Flanders said. Wang Feng sighed inwardly. He had made Shrek's 7 monsters stronger, and 3 of their martial souls had mutated. However, he didn't expect that as he revealed more knowledge, the world seemed to be quietly changing. It was already slightly out of Wang Feng's knowledge. However, after thinking about it, he felt that it was quite normal. "No, teacher, we won't give up on any match," Tang San said in a low voice. After he finished speaking, he looked at the others. The remaining 10 people also nodded their heads heavily. Wang Feng also nodded. Even if there were changes, so what? The current Shrek's 7 monsters were much stronger than in the original work. Flanders and the other teachers looked at the group and were silent for a moment. "We're just suggesting. Since you're determined to fight," the master said with a smile, "then let's fight." Seeing this, Tang San and the others heaved a sigh of relief. "By the way, can Brother Feng participate in this match?" Tang San suddenly asked. Wang Feng was stunned. He thought to himself, "Why should I participate? I still have to go to Purple Star College later. Don't tell me I have to rush to both matches. Generally, official matches couldn't be faked. Every student had to undergo a test of their martial soul and soul power before they entered the arena to prevent any substitutions. They had to check if the information was the same as when they registered. During the opening ceremony review, because it wasn't an official match, there was no need for a test. Dean Fei Luan could even use someone with a similar build to pretend to be Jiao Yi. However, if it was an official match, Wang Feng's registered soul master information would be tested. When he registered, his martial soul was an axe, and his soul power was rank 45. These basic information had to be tested before he went on stage. Once a problem was found, he would be banned from going on stage or disqualified. Therefore, it was impossible for Dean Fei Luan to find someone with a similar build to pretend to be Jiao Yi. It was even more impossible now. This was also why no one would suspect him even if he wore a mask. Martial souls and soul power levels couldn't be faked. Little Feng, Master thought for a while and said, he can go on stage, but he can't make a move. At most, he could perform martial soul fusion with you and use fusion skills. Wang Feng, this is too much. Then I can't pretend, even if I go on stage? So you're using me as a tool? Wang Fengxin couldn't help but complain. His martial soul fusion skills with the others weren't suitable for him to use. It was more suitable for them to use. For more than a year, he had been experimenting with it with the others. Wang Feng only revealed 2 forms now, the Golden Lotus and the Red Lotus. He could use his twin martial souls as an excuse, so he couldn't easily reveal his 3rd form, the Black Lotus. Other than his martial soul fusion skills with Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing, Oscar and Ma Hongjun also had martial soul fusion skills. However, Dai Mubai, Tang San, and Xiao Wu hadn't tried it out yet. Then Brother Feng will go on stage. Tang San's eyes lit up. Me, Brother Feng, Mubai, Zhu Zhuqing, Xiao Ao, Jiang Zhu, and Jingling. Brother Feng will take over Xiao Wu, and Xiao Ao will take over Tai Long. With this arrangement, only 4 of Shrek's 7 monsters would be exposed. Brother Feng? He rarely went on stage, so he could be used to confuse the opponents and occasionally use martial soul fusion skills. Besides, it wasn't a big deal to be exposed. It was impossible for them to target him. It could reduce the exposure of the 7 as much as possible. Okay. Wang Feng yawned. I didn't expect that Wang Feng, would be used as a tool one day. What goes around comes around. End of this chapter. Chapter 326. Soon, all the arrangements were made. The teams participating in the 2nd round of the qualifiers walked into more than 10 arenas one after another. Today, the people in the VIP seats didn't change much. However, there was a Bondoa beside Ning Fengji, Gu Rong. At the same time, there was a burly man beside Bishop Sakas. This burly man was at least 2.5 meters tall, like a giant. The muscles all over his body were like crisscrossed rocks, making him look like a mountain. His aura was vigorous. At this moment, Gu Rong sent a voice transmission to Ning Fengji. Fengji, who is Elephant Armor Sec's opponent today. Even that old bastard Huyin Jin had come? Is Bishop Salas going all out? Ning Fengji smiled. Who else can it be? The most popular team in the 1st round is Shrek Academy, where Rongrong is from, and Purple Star College's 9-1. However, 9-1 is only one person. Elephant Armor Sect will definitely be up against Shrek Academy. That's why Bishop Salas is so serious about inviting Huyanjun. Although the 1st round of the qualifiers was shocking, with one person defeating an entire team. However, in terms of overall strength, in the hearts of many people, a team of 7 was still the strongest. Rongrong's team has met their match today. Gu Rong smiled. The top sects and the 4 elemental academies are not simple. Elephant Armor Sect even has a mutated martial soul. Ning Fengji smiled. That's not necessarily true. What if that kid fights? He's not simple. If he fights, Elephant Armor Sect's chances of winning are very low. Furthermore, they only have a mutated martial soul. Their Diamond Mammoth's weakness is still very obvious. Gu Rong glanced at Huyanjun, and a cold glint flashed across her eyes. However, Bishop Salas is really shameless. He's even manipulating things behind the scenes. Ning Fengji shook his head helplessly. The relationship between the top 7 sects and Martial Soul Hall was very subtle. Almost all the lower 3 sects supported Martial Soul Hall. In the upper 3 sects, Blue Dot Tyrannosaurus Rex was neutral. The 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect supported Heaven Do, while the Clear Skies sect supported Star Luo. Yesterday, he had expressed his relationship with the Shrek Academy. In addition, the Shrek Academy was so outstanding that Bishop Salas naturally wanted to suppress them. Otherwise, Shrek would not have met the Elephant Armor sect in the second round of the qualifiers, with Huyan Jun personally overseeing the match. At this moment, the 2 teams had already entered the arena. When Ning Fengji and Gu Rong saw Shrek Academy, they suddenly laughed. It seems that Sect Master Ning is very confident about today's competition. When Bishop Salas heard the laughter, he looked at Gu Rong and Ning Fengji indifferently. Huyan Jun, who was next to him, also smiled. Not bad. Ning Fengji smiled faintly. Gu Rong's withered face also revealed a trace of a smile. Although Shrek's team did not send out 7 main players. However, Ning Fengji saw a familiar figure at the tail of the 7 people. That kid, Wang Feng, was going to fight. On the arena, a host with a pair of wings on his back was holding a special soul microphone. He let out bell-like laughter in midair as he explained. This time, Shrek's team has changed their members. The first to fight is an agility-type soul master called Zhu Zhuqing. Her martial soul is the Nethermoon Elf, and her soul power is at rank 41. The other person is called Wang Feng. His martial soul is the Red Lotus, and his soul power is at rank 45. Wow, what a high rank. Another LV45 player. It's a pity that he seems to be an auxiliary-type soul master. Shrek's team has changed 2 members. Evidently, they are wary of their opponent, the Elephant Armor sect. I wonder what kind of exciting performances these 2 new members will give us. Let's wait and see. In the VIP seats, he's Wang Feng, rank 45. Salas squinted his eyes. The conversation between the 3 education committee members and Prince Xuexing yesterday seemed to still echo in his ears. Isn't he able to take 2 hits from the poisoned Douluo? Why is he an auxiliary-type soul master? The Snowy Night Emperor was a little puzzled. Ning Fengji and Gu Rong looked at each other and laughed. He is indeed an auxiliary-type soul master. Your Majesty, you'll know when you see him. I wonder if he will fight. An auxiliary-type soul master can take 2 hits from a titled law? Huyan Jun's eyes flashed with astonishment. Then he shook his head. Even if it's true, there must be something fishy going on. Our Elephant Armor sect can't be defeated by just changing 2 of their members. The people in the VIP seats were talking among themselves. At this moment, the audience was also exclaiming in surprise. Wang Feng and Zhu Zhuqing's appearance on stage, no matter which one it was extremely eye-catching. With Zhu Zhuqing's appearance and figure, there was probably not a single girl among the 20-plus battle teams that could compare to her. Wang Feng was the same. He was tall and handsome, and he was rank 45. Although he was an auxiliary-type soul master, he was extremely rare among so many teams. Simply put, even if there were people with higher soul power than him, no one was more handsome than him. Even if there were people more handsome than him, their soul power would not be higher than his. In the arena, Wang Feng looked at the 7 Elephant Armor sect disciples in front of him in shock. These team members were very burly. They were at least 2 meters tall, and with their muscles, they seemed to weigh at least 300 to 400 kilograms. The disciple in the middle was the tallest. He was at least 2.5 meters tall, and Wang Feng could sense him clearly. Rank 44. He must be Hu Yinli. He has a mutated martial soul. At this moment, following the referee's command, the 5 matches that were going on at the same time officially began. As the main Fighting Spirit arena was very big, there could be a few arenas. They could not fight one by one, but in batches. In an instant, all kinds of martial souls shone like rainbows. The soul rings were even more dazzling. Wang Feng did not plan a fight, and he was too lazy to use his red karmic fire lotus. He would wait until he needed to use his martial soul fusion skill. Under the command, the 7 Elephant Armor Sect disciples, with Huyan Li as the center, almost took up one side of the arena. Then, the 7 of them were half a meter away from each other. The brick mammoth's huge martial soul lit up, causing their bodies to expand and strengthen again. Their muscles seemed to have been injected with more strength, and their bodies grew taller again. 2 sharp mammoth tusks protruded from its face, and its entire body seemed to be covered in a layer of shiny diamond luster. It gave off a feeling of impenetrable impenetrability at first glance. Huyan Li's martial soul was even more unique. A huge pair of light wings grew out of his back, covering the sky and the sun, and enveloping the 7 of them. Wang Feng frowned slightly. With his senses, he could clearly feel that the aura of the 7 of them seemed to be one. This was not a fusion skill, but a special fusion skill. It made the aura of the 7 of them seem to be one. The advantage of this was that it was difficult to break through one of them alone. Furthermore, their soul power flowed back through their bodies, reducing their consumption. They were like a group of ancient mammoths. With Huyan Li as the center, the 7 of them walked towards the crowd step by step. The 7 from the Elephant Armor Sect had a clear strategy. They planned to use this momentum to surround Shrek's team and knock them out of the arena. It was a very domineering and aggressive way of attacking. Furthermore, Huyan Li has not fully demonstrated the effects of flying. Wang Feng thought for a moment. He felt that the appearance of this mutated martial soul was a great supplement for the Elephant Armor Sect. Their original strategy would be greatly reduced if they met a soul master who could fly. But now, they were all walking towards them. Could the huge wings on Huyan Li's back carry all 7 of them into the air? If so, what should they do? As he thought, Wang Feng suddenly looked at Zhu Zhuqing. Coincidentally, Zhu Zhuqing also looked at Wang Feng at the same time. Their gazes met in midair, and they immediately looked away. There will be more at night. End of chapter. Chapter 327. Dong, dong, dong. Every step the 7 Elephant Armor Sect members took caused the entire arena to shake violently. Compared to the other arenas, whether it was the physique of each person or the momentum they brought, they would bring shock to the countless spectators. Let's test their mutated martial soul first. Tang Sin took a deep breath and ordered, "Xiao Ao, give me 2 mushroom sausages." Since we don't know the power of their mutated martial soul, we'll split into 2 groups and fly. If their mutated martial soul can only carry 1 person, we'll use the meteor hammer. I'll trap you guys with my blue silvergrass and attack from the air. This is the best way to deal with them. The meteor hammer was a special attack Tang San had used on Xiao Wu before. He used his blue silvergrass to trap 1 person and swung them around like a hammer. Since Tang San had learned how to split his attention, he could use the meteor hammer with 2 more people to attack from the air. The best way to deal with a cumbersome martial soul, like the diamond mammoth, was to escape from its range in the air. However, since their opponents had mutated flying martial souls, Tang San split into 2 groups to test them. I'll take 1, and Brother Feng will take 1. Tang San said, I'll take Mubai, Xiao Ao, Jingling, and Zhu Qing. Brother Feng, you take Jiangzhu and bring her to the other side safely. Wang Feng nodded. As a tool, he had to act like one. He had no intention of interfering in their battle. Besides, he and Zhu Zhuqing's fusion skill wouldn't be able to defeat the 7 Elephant Armor Sect members in a short time. After the preparations were completed, Tang Sin ate a mushroom sausage and a pair of wings appeared on his back. He then used his blue silvergrass to control 4 people. After Wang Feng ate the mushroom sausage, he grabbed Jiangzhu's shoulder and flew past the 7 Elephant Armor Sect members. The mushroom sausage had the ability to fly. Depending on the person's weight, it could be carried in flight. The mushroom sausage made from Jinhua sausage would be faster and more stable. In an instant, Tang San took the 4 people into the air. Wang Feng grabbed Jiangzhu's shoulder and flew up quickly. 1 on the left and 1 on the right. They flew past the 7 Elephant Armor Sect members. Flight ability? It seems to be the ability of that food-type soul master. In the VIP seats, a strange light flashed in Huyen Jun's eyes. You want to launch an attack in midair? Unfortunately, if it was in the past, the disciples of the Elephant Armor sect would be afraid. However, Lier, am the disciple with the strongest martial spirit in the Elephant Armor sect. He did not have the Diamond Mammoth's weakness. His mutated martial soul is the only thing that can make up for our shortcomings. It's impossible to rely on aerial combat. Huyen Jun's words caused Ning Fengji and Gu Rong's expressions to become incomparably grave. In the spectators' stands, Grandmaster Lu Erlong, Ning Rongrong, and the others who were not on the stage were also very serious. I wonder what kind of effects this mutated martial spirit, which was the first in the history of the Elephant Armor sect, will have. They also understood that Tang San was trying to sound them out in the air. The first to cross the Elephant Armor sect's defensive line was Wang Feng. He flew to the other side with Jiang Zhu, keeping her out of the Elephant Armor sect's attack range. Then, he stared at Tang San, who was half a year in the air. Aerial battle? Huyen Li laughed out loud. Brothers, get into formation. As soon as he finished speaking, the 7 people who were lined up in a row quickly closed in with the disciples on the left and right as the leader. 4 people formed the first circle, while 2 people formed the second circle. Huyen Li was in the middle. Seeing this, Tang San was shocked. His opponents did not seem to have any intention of using their mutated martial soul. They were still maintaining this iron bucket formation. This formation was very difficult to deal with. The 4 people in the outer circle acted as the defense. They could rely on their defense to block the attacks from the air. And when Tang San, Mu Bai, Zhu Qing, and Jing Ling's attacks relaxed, it would be very easy for the people inside to catch him. This was especially so for the 4 people in the outer circle. Their second soul rings had already lit up, and their bodies were covered in layers of icicles. The 3 people in the inner circle, with Huyen Li as the leader, seemed to have condensed their soul power into a single point. They seemed to be accumulating power and waiting to attack. 4 people defending, 3 people attacking. They did not give their opponents a chance to attack, nor did they expose themselves. This shocked Wang Feng, who was watching from afar. The Elephant Armor sect is indeed one of the 7 great sects. Even though they don't have any auxiliary-type soul masters, their teamwork and the special way in which they circulate their soul force are extraordinary. It feels impenetrable and watertight. Wang Feng thought to himself, even if they can't fly, their opponents in the air will not be easy to deal with. Furthermore, Huyen Li does not seem to have any intention of using his mutated martial soul. Although Huyen Li was very surprised when Tang San and Wang Feng took off, he did not seem to have any intention of using his mutated martial soul. Is he waiting for something? Wang Feng frowned as he looked at Huyen Li's diamond-like wings. He could vaguely guess what was going on. Huyen Li's wings were unusually large and filled with power. However, they seemed a little stiff. Perhaps it was because of the diamond-like luster. At this moment, Tang San could not find any opportunity to attack. He could only use his own strength to find an opportunity to attack. He circulated his soul power and used his blue-silver cage to control the 7 people below. After that, he used his parasitic technique to cover their bodies with blue-silver grass. Binding spiderweb. It was obviously impossible for the 7 people to break free from the blue-silver grass. It would take them at least 20 seconds to do so. They did not have any momentum right now. They just stood there. If the 7 of them joined forces, they would be able to break free quickly. However, it was impossible now. Tang San's last binding spiderweb accurately hit Huyen Li, who was under control. It was a deep control. What a strong defense, Tang San thought. The spikes on my blue-silver grass can't pierce their skin. This means that the paralyzing and corroding poison is useless. I can only bind them. Attack Huyen Li with all your strength. We must at least test out his mutated martial soul's ability. Tang San shouted, Zhu Qing, you and Brother Feng will perform martial soul fusion later. Because you will recover your full strength, You can attack to your heart's content. Don't hold back. Move by. Jingling, you have to be careful. Save some strength to prevent any accidents from happening. If the opponent uses a special move to break free from my blue-silver grass binding, you must leave their attack range in time. As he spoke, Tang Xin used his hands to grasp the blue-silver grass binding the three people. Using the controlling crane, capturing dragon technique, he flung the three people to the ground and attacked Huyin Li. The leader was Dai Mu Bai, who had activated the Vajra White Tiger transformation when he landed. He rushed towards Huyin Li. Because Huyin Li was in the center, Dai Mu Bai, who did not specialize in strength, could only jump high and use the White Tiger's fierce light wave. He released a huge energy wave towards Huyin Li. Then, the energy wave was caught by the blue-silver grass and accurately landed on Huyin Li's position. The pale golden tiger paw emitted an ominous glint. Zhu Zhuqing and Jingling were both agility-type soul masters. With a light leap, they could accurately attack Huyin Li, especially Zhu Zhuqing. Her claws were purplish-gold in color. A purplish-gold figure swept through the air, and a cold light fell on Huyin Li's body. Jingling's martial soul was a skeleton. Her arms turned into bone blades and were like sharp weapons that could cut through gold and silver. She charged towards Huyin Li. Chapter 328. The three of them attacked. At this moment, the mutated martial spirit on Huyin Li, who was trapped and unable to move, finally moved. That pair of huge wings suddenly closed and wrapped around him tightly. The wings had a diamond-like luster and gave off a strong feeling of strength. It seemed to have a strong defensive ability as well. Looking at the situation, it was used to defend against the three of them. In an instant, the white tiger's fierce light wave hit the huge wings and emitted a special energy wave. Zhu Zhuqing and Jingling's attack also landed on the wings. With Zhu Zhuqing's attack, the diamond-like luster on the wings was cut open. The same happened to Jingling on the other side. Seeing this, Tang San and the others were shocked. These wings? Are they not used for flying? Tang San was stunned. Could it be that this mutated martial spirit, the flying diamond mammoth, is more of a defensive ability? It shouldn't be. On the other side, Wang Feng seemed to have understood something and his eyes dimmed. This was because under normal circumstances, these wings should be used for flight. How could it be used for defense? Unless no. Wang Feng's expression changed slightly. He seemed to have figured it out and looked at the diamond luster on the wings again. What's wrong? Jiang Zhu asked. She was ready to restore everyone's strength at any moment. Huyin Li's mutated martial spirit has the ability to fly. However, I'm afraid that it can only be activated under certain conditions. Wang Feng said in a low voice. Xiao San and the others' attack may cause. Hearing this, Jiang Zhu was stunned. She still did not understand. At this moment, Huyin Jun, who was in the VIP seats, also smiled. The flying diamond mammoth is a special mutated martial spirit that allows the diamond mammoth to have the ability to fly. Huyin Jun's eyes flashed with a proud smile. However, this flying ability cannot be obtained at the beginning. It can only be obtained at a special time. His proud words caused Ning Fengji to be slightly stunned. Could it be? Ning Fengji, who had been observing the situation, thought that Tang San's every move was correct. He even had the absolute advantage and was in the air. However, this mutated martial spirit had not been revealed for a long time, which made Ning Fengji confused. Until now, we heard Huyin Jun's words. I'm afraid that pair of wings. Ning Fengji's eyes flickered. At almost the same time, Wang Feng also said in a deep voice, yes, it needs to be attacked to gain the ability to fly. Jiang Zhu was shocked when she heard this. But then, after the diamond-like wings were attacked by the three of them, they began to tremble. Suddenly, it began to shatter. No, it should be that the diamond cuticle on the surface was starting to crack. Rumble. In an instant, the wings were completely revealed. In comparison, the wings now were the real wings. It also didn't have the stiffness that Wang Feng had seen. Is that so? In midair, Tang San was equally astonished. He muttered, "No wonder Huyen Li was completely indifferent after we flew into the air. He clearly had wings, but he didn't fly with the three of us." It turned out that the wings of his mutated martial spirit needed to be attacked to break the layer of diamond on the surface before it could be used. This mutated martial spirit is so strong. He was indeed very strong. Before the wings were broken, although they couldn't fly, they could be used as super strong defense. After the wings were broken, they lost their defense but gained the ability to fly. Who would have thought that? Is this the strength of the seven sects? Tang Sen looked at Huyen Li, who was slowly rising. The remaining 6 people were divided into 3 in the first circle, 2 in the second circle, and 1 at the top. His hands and feet were linked together to support Huyen Li. Obviously, they planned to use Huyen Li as the main point of attack. It would strengthen Huyen Li's ability to fly in the air. Huyen Li's wings were also extremely huge and could easily bear Huyen Li's weight. Now, Tang San and the other 3 had turned their advantage into a disadvantage. Oscar's recovery sausage had been given to Tang San to restore the soul power he had consumed when using 3 soul skills at the same time. "Retreat," Tang San shouted softly. "We can't retreat." Huyen Li laughed. "You're their commander and controller, right? You're using their blue silver grass to attack us from all angles in midair? It's really powerful. It's a very good move. Unfortunately, I'm also in the air now. As long as I hold you down, they won't be able to escape on the ground." This person looked rough and burly, but he was very meticulous. At this moment, he was flying in midair. Obviously, he would not target Zhu Zhuqing, Dai Mubai, and Jingling. Instead, he planned to target Tang San. He was the team's controller. Control. In the next moment, countless blue-silver grass appeared in front of Tang San, and he wanted to escape. Almost at the same time, he threw the entangled blue-silver grass of Dai Mubai and Jingling towards Huyen Li's formation below, intending to destroy it. The last strand of blue-silver grass sent Zhu Zhuqing to Wang Feng's side. At the same time, Tang San ate a pink sausage for himself. The pink sausage could strengthen his body and make him immune to all kinds of negative effects. Naturally, it also included all kinds of control effects. At this critical juncture, Tang San was able to utilize the distraction control skill in an instant. However, Huyen Li and the other 6 team members reacted extremely quickly. Their third purple soul rings lit up. Mammoth Bind. They were all using their third soul skills. It was a special defensive soul skill that could lock the enemy in place. It was difficult to move. It was also their only control skill that allowed them to attack. Tang San, who was in midair, only felt his body shake as he was locked by a strange force. But fortunately, he ate the pink sausage in time and was slightly immune to it, barely retreating. The 2 people below, Dai Mubai and Jingling, were not locked in place because of the control skill, but the blue-silver grass wrapped around them. Boom! In the next moment, the blue-silver grass in front of Tang San seemed to have been hit by a high-speed plane and was directly smashed into pieces by Huyen Li in midair. The huge airflow caused Tang San to fly a few rounds in midair and finally land on the ground, but his face was pale. Blue-silver cage. Bind. Parasite. Without any hesitation, Tang San used the last of his soul force to unleash a set of 3 consecutive soul skills, binding Hudding Li in mid-air. However, Huyen Li, who had the ability to fly, would not be able to bind him in 10 seconds. It was impossible for Tang San and the others to have a chance to attack again. Dai Mubai and Jingling, who had rushed into the enemy's rear, quickly destroyed the formation maintained by the remaining 6 people, causing Huyen Li to lose his support. "It's useless. In 10 seconds, all of you will be finished." The wings on Huyen Li's back struggled with all his might, and countless blue-silver grass were quickly broken away by him in midair. At this moment, everyone in the arena could see that Tang San was in a disadvantageous position, and the reason was because of Huyen Li's mutated martial soul. Why hasn't he made a move yet? In the VIP seats, Ning Fengji could not help but feel nervous. What Tang San did could be said to have far exceeded expectations. Chapter 329. He had forced out his opponent's mutated martial soul and had even used a control-type soul skill. At the critical moment, he had even distracted Dai Mubai and Jingling to cut into the enemy's back line, creating a threat to Huyan Li's rear formation. But why did Zhu Zhuqing go to Wang Feng's side? Did he use the last 10 seconds to create an opportunity? This kid doesn't seem to want to fight. Gu Rong asked. Ning Fengji shook his head. I've said before, our elephant armor sect can't be defeated by two different people. Huyan Zhun said, that soul master with the blue silver grass is good at commanding. If Li Er's martial soul didn't mutate, he might have a chance of winning. But now, their team has no chance. And that auxiliary-type soul master, he doesn't seem to be of any use. The snowy Night Emperor frowned. A smile appeared on Sokka's face. Right at this moment, Zhu Zhuqing came to Wang Feng. Are you ready? Wang Feng glanced at her. Zhu Zhuqing nodded slightly. Her face was flushed, perhaps because of the battle just now. Ready for what? Jiang Zhu, who was treating Tang San, looked at the two in confusion. Master said that the two of them had a soul fusion skill, but could a martial soul fusion skill reverse the current situation? Wang Feng smiled when he saw Zhu Zhuqing nod. Everything that Tang San had done was actually to buy more time for the two of them to use their martial soul fusion skill. It had to be said that Xiao San had done his best. With just 4 people, he had exposed the other party's secret. He had also used up a lot of soul power from the 7 members of the Elephant Armor sect. All right, Wang Feng turned his palm. The red lotus that shone with a dazzling, icy light suddenly bloomed. A pitch-black soul ring. It surrounded the red lotus. In an instant, countless pairs of eyes suddenly widened as they watched. 10,000-year soul ring. Sokka's eyes widened. Where did this Shrek team come from? They even have a 10,000-year soul ring? Huyan Zhun's eyes were also filled with shock. 10,000-year soul ring. Even a trashy 10,000-year soul ring would far surpass a 1,000-year soul ring. At rank 45, there was a soul master with a 10,000-year soul ring. No, why does he only have 1 soul ring? What about the other 3? Could it be a mutated martial soul? Salus murmured. Or rather, hidden? Did they use some other means to hide it? Although it was rare to find a way to hide one's soul ring, it wasn't impossible. Some mutated martial souls had the ability to hide their soul rings, but they were even rarer. He's an auxiliary-type soul master. Even if he uses a soul skill now, he won't be able to reverse the situation. Wait, are they thinking of... Huyan Zhun's gaze landed on Zhu Zhuqing and Wang Feng, and his huge body shook. Martial soul fusion skill? These 5 words. There was no need for him to say anything. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on the two of them. Zhu Zhuqing's dark moon, fairy martial spirit flew out from her body. Elegant, cold, and mysterious, the dark moon fairy was extremely beautiful. His golden pupils added a bit of nobility to him. The red lotus in Wang Feng's hand suddenly grew bigger. The UUF fairy landed lightly on the lotus platform and let out a soft roar. In the next moment, Wang Feng and Zhu Zhuqing disappeared. Her entire body was covered by countless ice crystals and flames. This isn't the second martial soul fusion. Be careful. The two of them were surrounded by a pillar of fire and countless ice crystals, like a flower of ice and fire that was about to bloom. Wang Feng, who was in the middle, instructed in a deep voice. Also, that Huyan Li should have some trump cards that he hasn't used yet. It'll be good if he can force him to use them. If he can't, then defeat him in one go. Wang Feng looked at Zhu Zhuqing, who was slowly covered by an ice crystal armor, as if she was wearing a layer of battle armor. He continued to count. If Fatty can only fuse with our 3rd Black Lotus form, it would be best for him to go up. For a martial soul like the Diamond Mammoth, if it only has ice and fire, it won't be very effective. But if it has both, then it will be very effective. I'll tell you what to do later, Wang Feng muttered a few words. Okay. Zhu Zhuqing closed her eyes slightly, feeling the countless ice crystal armor covering her body like a machine. She only responded with a slightly red face. A surge of power was transmitted from the Red Lotus through the UF Fairy. Roar! The UF Fairy on the Lotus platform let out a soft cry again, and then imprinted the Red Lotus in between Zhu Zhuqing's eyebrows. The imprint was very small, like cinnabar, but it was very delicate. Seeing this, Wang Feng immediately retreated from the pillar of fire. At the same time, countless fire ice crystals dissipated. A brand new Zhu Zhuqing reappeared in front of everyone. In an instant, the sound of people sucking in cold breaths of air was like the sound of a drape rising and falling. Jiang Zhu, who was the closest, widened her eyes. So beautiful! Jiang Zhu's eyes reflected Zhu Zhuqing's figure. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing's entire body was shining with a layer of ice crystal armor, and the armor was covered with a layer of mysterious purplish-gold crescent patterns, but her body was burning with a faint layer of flames. Her originally pitch-black hair had turned sky blue. Her originally cold and elegant face had a hint of charm that could captivate people. She was elegant and elegant with a hint of coldness. It was incomparably contradictory, but it was also exceptionally eye-catching. Her pupils were pale gold and were extremely dazzling. Her entire body was exuding a vigorous battle aura. She was like a female war god born from fire, wearing an ice crystal armor. Martial Soul Fusion Technique. Yue Red Lotus Body. Wang Feng felt the soul power in his body rapidly depleting and secretly sighed in his heart. If this martial soul fusion technique was given to him, the improvement would not be very big. But if it was given to her, it would be an earth-shaking change, just like Zhu Zhuqing's ultimate evolution. The reason was very simple, because Wang Feng belonged to the side of the martial soul fusion technique that transmitted power. His Red Lotus was too strong, and if he gave it to Zhu Zhuqing, it would naturally make Zhu Zhuqing stronger. But if Zhu Zhuqing's US spirit was given to him, the change would be very small. Martial Soul Fusion Technique. At this moment, 10 seconds had passed, and Hu Yanli had also torn apart Tang San's blue silvergrass. Naturally, he also saw Zhu Zhuqing at this moment. Even with his iron-blooded personality, he was stunned by Zhu Zhuqing's current appearance, but he quickly reacted. At this moment, after Hu Yanli broke free, the 6 people behind him quickly rearranged their formation. Dai Mubai and Jingling did not attack again because they still had energy to spare. Fortunately, at this moment, the 7 people from the Elephant Armor sect had already used up more than half of their soul power, and their aura was gradually declining. Attack! Hu Yanli looked at Zhu Zhuqing in midair and shouted. Hu Yanli was very smart. He could feel that Zhu Zhuqing's aura was very strong, and they had already used up a lot of their soul power. If he charged forward again, he might not be able to defeat her in his exhausted state. Therefore, Hu Yanli landed in the middle of the 6 people who had rearranged their formation in midair and rushed towards Zhu Zhuqing in their initial state. With Hu Yanli in the air, this formation was even stronger than before. If he used the mushroom intestines to take off now, he would not be a threat to them at all. Seeing this scene, Zhu Zhuqing was expressionless. Her claws were no longer purplish gold. Her right claw was burning red, and her left claw was an extremely sharp ice spike. Slowly, Hu Yanli's 7 people's aura became more terrifying and stronger. When they were only 20 meters away from Zhu Zhuqing. Chapter 3:30. Zhu Zhuqing smirked. She extended her left claw, which was covered in ice, and slashed it towards the 7 people in front of her. It was an ordinary claw, but it caused ice crystals to fill the sky. However, it didn't attack the 7 people. Zhu Zhuqing's claw was aimed at the arena floor. Almost instantly, a thick layer of ice crystals. It formed on the stage. This ordinary claw covered a huge area. It almost covered half of the stage. Hu Yanli's expression changed when he saw this. Stop! Once he gave the order, The other 6 people followed his order and stopped. However, they couldn't stop anymore. The ice crystals on the ground were extremely tough and slippery. The 7 of them were huge men, and they were still able to charge forward in such a sudden change in the terrain. Almost instantly, the 7 of them, with the exception of Huyen Li, fell to the ground as if they were dancing on the ice. The crowd was in an uproar when they saw this. They didn't expect Zhu Zhuqing, who had a new appearance, to break the elephant armor sect's charge with such a simple move. Zhu Zhuqing's 2 new abilities were also displayed in front of them. The 6 of them fell to the ground at almost the same time. Zhu Zhuqing moved. She couldn't fly, but she was able to run on the ice crystals on the ground. She wasn't affected by the terrain at all. She attacked with her right claw. There weren't any fancy techniques. Zhu Zhuqing attacked with one move, and the flaming red claw shadows attacked the 6 people. Although the 6 of them were caught off guard and fell to the ground, they were well-trained and covered their bodies with ice. It was still a defensive soul skill to protect themselves. However, the claw shadows were too big. The area it covered was terrifying. Even Huyen Li, who was in midair, was affected. He could only use his defensive soul skill to block it. The flaming claw shadows broke through the 7 people's ice defense. However, the claw shadows disappeared, just as the 7 of them heaved a sigh of relief. In the next blink of an eye, 2 claw shadows attacked the 7 of them. They couldn't even release their soul skills so quickly. Boom, boom, boom. The flaming claw shadows burned the bodies of the 7 people. The flames from the 2 flaming claw shadows not only turned the 7 people's skin crimson red, the flames could not be extinguished. Although the flames weren't the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, they weren't inferior to Ma Hongjuan's Phoenix Fire. In fact, they were even stronger. The real karmic fire of the Red Lotus could only be produced by activating the Red Lotus. The flames in the soul skill wasn't the real karmic fire of the Red Lotus. Zhu Zhuqing didn't give the 7 of them any chance to retaliate. The sky-blue figure that was burning with flames flickered in the entire arena. Every time she swung her right claw, 3 flaming claw shadows bombarded the 7 people. Every time it swung its left claw, 3 claw shadows covered in ice crystals would bombard the 7 people. The karmic ice of ice of the ice was ice of the ice was ice was of the ice ice of the ice was of the zhu 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 of zhu 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 you of the zhu of the zhu of the ta normal AoE attack plus 3 consecutive slashes. It was simply unreasonable. Yes, as their ranks had increased, the effects of their martial soul fusion skill had evolved. Zhu Zhuqing's attack speed had increased, and she was more agile. The range of her normal attacks and the number of consecutive strikes had increased. The power of her martial soul fusion skill had also increased. One had to know that Hong Lian's 10,000-year soul ring was attached to Zhu Zhuqing's body. Although Zhu Zhuqing was not the true master of the Red Lotus, even if it was just a partial edition, it was still very terrifying. Furthermore, due to the mutation of her martial soul, Zhu Zhuqing's attack speed and agility were even more frightening. Wang Feng counted. The 7 of them had to endure more than 20 attacks in a single second. However, Wang Feng's soul power was being depleted every second. Wang Feng broke out in cold sweat. Although this martial soul fusion skill was abnormal, it couldn't sustain Zhu Zhuqing for too long. This martial soul fusion skill was too abnormal. It had extremely high explosive power and a large range. It could be used to eliminate the remaining enemies. It was perfect. Fortunately, Wang Feng's soul power was durable. If it were other soul masters, they would have been gone in a few seconds. 30 seconds later, the 7 people from the elephant armor sect couldn't hold on any longer. The combination of ice and fire was too torturous for them. Furthermore, the ice crystals on the ground were extremely hard and slippery. They were barefooted and shirtless. This was because after obtaining the axe, one's body would become extremely large. Many of their clothes would be torn apart. Therefore, they couldn't even counterattack in this terrain. We admit defeat. In the end, Huyen Li weakly shouted. As the strongest of the seven, he couldn't think of any other way. The attack range was too large. Even he, who was in the air, couldn't dodge. Although he could still hold on for a while, it was no longer necessary. As he couldn't land on the ground, the terrain was completely covered by ice crystals. Even if he could stand firm, he couldn't move. He didn't know how to skate. In the air, he couldn't even touch his opponent's figure. The wings on his back consumed a lot of soul power. He had no choice. His body was huge and heavy. If he wanted to fly, he would need a lot of soul power. This was the only weakness of his mutated martial soul. Huyen Li's voice rang out. The attack stopped. The entire city was silent. Zhu Zhuqing stood in the same place again. The flames on her body were much dimmer. At this moment, the ice crystal armor on her body was still shining. Looking at the ice crystal armor on her body, Huyen Li doubted if they could break it in their previous state. Zhu Zhuqing walked to Wang Feng. A light flashed between her eyebrows, and her body gradually returned to normal. However, she was still in high spirits. Her body emitted a bright light. She was exceptionally beautiful. Beside her, Wang Feng's face was pale, and his forehead was covered in sweat. Are you okay? Zhu Zhuqing walked to Wang Feng. She bit her lips and was a little embarrassed. I'm fine. Wang Feng waved his hand. Wang Feng's soul power was almost exhausted to make Zhu Zhuqing last for 30 seconds. If he continued, he would be out of soul power unless he used the reserve of Black Lotus. I'm sorry. I'll try to be faster next time. Zhu Zhuqing whispered. Huh? Why do you sound so weird? Wang Feng glanced at Zhu Zhuqing. Seeing her in high spirits, he couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. At this moment, the battle ended. The dumbstruck referee suddenly came to his senses and directly announced, that's right. The second round of the qualifier, Shrek Academy wins. After the announcement, the whole arena was still silent. Countless eyes fell on the 7 members of this team. Most of the eyes fell on Teng, San, Zhu Zhuqing, and Wang Feng. The one who got the most attention was naturally Zhu Zhuqing, because her performance just now was too dazzling. She was powerful and beautiful. Her attacks were simple and violent, but also gorgeous and extraordinary. The two completely contradictory styles were mixed together and surprisingly attracted people's attention. She was simply a goddess of ice and fire. However, in the VIP seats, almost everyone's gaze landed on Wang Feng's figure. Chapter 331. Those in the VIP seats weren't ordinary people. Naturally, they could tell the source of Zhu Zhuqing's strength. It was Wang Feng, who had been a bystander from the start and had only cooperated with Zhu Zhuqing to perform a soul fusion skill. What was a soul fusion skill? In essence, it was a stronger soul skill created by the fusion of 2 martial souls. But now, their martial soul fusion skill had turned one of them into a godlike existence. Zhu Zhuqing's martial soul and soul power rank were clear. Although she had a mutated martial soul, it wasn't enough to make her so powerful. It was obvious that it was because of Wang Feng's Red Lotus and Black Soul Ring. The ordinary audience only thought that Zhu Zhuqing was strong and beautiful. Even though they were seated in the VIP seats, they could tell that it was all because of this auxiliary-type soul master called Wang Feng. This kid didn't make a move? How can a soul fusion skill be so strong? Ning Fengji was shocked. He thought that Wang Feng would make a move, but he didn't expect that this kid didn't even make a move. He just performed a soul fusion skill with Zhu Zhuqing and turned the tables. 10,000-year soul ring, Red Lotus martial soul. Gu Rong whispered, what an incredible soul fusion skill. This is the first time I've seen such a powerful soul fusion skill. A titled Douluo's eyes were sharp and accurate, let alone 1 Zhu Zhuqing. Even 3 Zhu Zhuqings might not be able to defeat the remaining 7 people from the Elephant Armor sect. But a soul fusion skill was able to defeat 7 people in a short 30 seconds. The 7 of them couldn't even fight back and couldn't even stand up. It was an all-round counter to the Elephant Armor sect. especially using ice crystals to cover the entire area and create a special terrain. It was simply a natural counter to the elephant armor sect. Such a cumbersome martial soul was most afraid of such terrain unless it had a special soul skill. The combination of ice and fire was even more torturous for the brick mammoth, which had outstanding defense. If it was just one of them, it wouldn't be a problem. But the combination of ice and fire at times, even an Iron Man wouldn't be able to withstand it. Even a diamond would break. Huyan Jun watched in a daze. He didn't expect the elephant armor sect to be defeated by the two of them. That auxiliary-type soul master called Wang Feng didn't even make a move. What a joke. Saka's expression turned ugly. He didn't expect this to happen either. The snowy Night Emperor's expression turned even uglier. He glanced coldly at Prince Xuexing behind him. Prince Xuexing's face was as pale as a ghost. Ha ha. Ning Fengji laughed heartily. Sect leader Huyan, it seems like the elephant armor sect still needs to work harder. That auxiliary-type soul master. Humph, sect master Ning, you don't have to beat around the bush to ridicule me. Huyan Jun snorted coldly. He didn't make a move, but anyone with a discerning eye could see that if it weren't for Tang San and his martial soul fusion skill, Shrek Academy would have lost. There won't be such a good opportunity next time. Huyan Jun wanted to stand up and leave. He sounded very impatient. Their martial soul fusion skill is so powerful. The other teams will naturally be prepared. If he dares to fight again, he will be mercilessly targeted. Even if he has a 10,000-year soul ring, he is only an auxiliary-type soul master. He will suffer a terrible fate if he is targeted. Targeted? Ning Fengji couldn't help but laugh. Gu Rong also laughed. This kid can withstand 10 levels of the Herculean Titan's aura. How can he really be an auxiliary-type soul master? If he were to really fight, those assault-type soul masters who were over rank 40 wouldn't be a match for him. But it's true that this kid won't have many chances to fight. Even if he does, they might not be able to use their martial soul fusion skill. In this battle, he is more like a tool. But it's still shocking. No matter what, this is a battle. The Shrek Academy became famous. Zhu Zhuqing became famous. Wang Feng also became famous. Of course, he became famous as a tool with a 10,000-year soul ring. In fact, if they had used their martial soul fusion skill at the start of this battle, they wouldn't have been able to win. This was because Wang Feng's soul power couldn't last that long. 30 seconds was his limit. The 7 people from the elephant armor sect had their wings to resist. Not to mention 30 seconds, even 300 seconds wouldn't be a big problem. Fortunately, Tang Sin used various attacks to exhaust the 7 people from the elephant armor sect. He even forced them to use their mutated martial soul. Only then could Zhu Zhuqing finish the battle in 30 seconds. She defeated the 7 people in a way that reaped their lives. This victory was the result of the cooperation of the 7 people. Zhu Qing, your ice crystals to change the terrain is so smart. The 7 people dragged their tired bodies back to the resting room. As soon as they returned, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Ma Hongjun surrounded them. They knew about their fusion skill. Actually, Wang Feng reminded me. Zhu Zhuqing laughed. As she laughed, she glanced at Wang Feng from the corner of her eye. I just reminded you. You're smart to have thought of it. Wang Feng waved his hand. Because the red lotus contained the power of ice and fire, Hui Yuhao had thought about martial soul fusion skills after watching the elephant armor sect battle, and he had reminded Zhu Zhuqing about it. All of you did well in this battle. The Grandmaster walked over and said with a smile. Just now, the teachers were very nervous. Fortunately, they managed to perform well. My soul power is a little weak. I'll go and rest first. Wang Feng coughed and said, you guys can discuss first. Seeing this, Zhu Zhuqing was about to speak. Suddenly, Ning Rongrong spoke first. Wang Feng, let me accompany you. When she saw the two of them use their martial soul fusion skill, she felt jealous. However, she was still happy. At this time, she naturally wanted to stay with Wang Feng. Ahem, it's okay. I want to be alone. My soul power recovers faster. Wang Feng was stunned. He hurriedly waved his hand and walked out alone. What is this? What do you mean by recovering soul power faster alone? Grandmaster, is there such a saying? Ning Rongrong was startled. She asked curiously. There should be. A glint flashed across the Grandmaster's eyes. Let Lin Feng rest alone for a while. A martial soul fusion skill consumes a lot of soul power. Zhu Qing is the one bearing the burden, so she doesn't feel anything. However, Lin Feng is the attacker. The consumption is far greater than what you think. Yes, the stronger the power, the more soul power it consumes. This is a principle that everyone knows. Tang San said with a smile. He actually contributed more to the victory of this battle. Everyone nodded slightly. Only Zhu Zhuqing looked at Wang Feng's back. A trace of melancholy flashed across her eyes. All right, Grandmaster, there's a 9-1 match today, right? Tang Sin suddenly asked. Yes, it's in the next 5 matches. The Grandmaster nodded. Hearing this, everyone's body shook. They immediately walked to the spectator stand in high spirits. They didn't even want to rest. Moreover, the Purple Star Academy's opponent for this match is not simple. The Grandmaster said indifferently. Grandmaster, which team is it? Blazing Academy, one of the 5 great elemental academies. After Wang Feng changed into his 9-1 attire, he went to Purple Star College's resting area. Which team is it in the next match? Wang Feng looked at Fei Luan and asked with a hoarse voice. This team is a little strong. I wonder if you can handle it. Dean Fei Luan whispered. It's Blazing Academy. Wang Feng was slightly stunned when he heard that. Chapter 332. Wang Feng knew about the 5 elemental academies. Among the more than 20 teams in Heavendo City, the 5 elemental academies were the best. Wang Feng didn't expect to meet the Blazing Academy in the second round. This made Wang Feng suspect that something was going on behind the scenes. But after thinking about it, he felt that it was impossible. Jiao Kai had only appeared once. Although he had defeated the Songhui Academy, he shouldn't have been targeted like this. He could only blame it on luck. I wanted to slack off for a few rounds, but now I have to take out something? Wang Fengxin couldn't help but sigh. Actually, Wang Feng wasn't afraid of the 4 elemental academies. Other than his head, his body had been tempered by the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, so he wasn't afraid of fire. Wang Feng hadn't tempered his sternum and brain with the karmic fire of the Red Lotus because his sternum was protected by the Xianming armor. It was too dangerous to temper his brain. After all, if his brain was damaged, even if the meteoric tear protected him in time, he might end up in a vegetative state. This was why Wang Feng was afraid. But other than these 2 parts, Wang Feng wasn't afraid of fire at all. Blazing Academy, Wang Feng frowned under his mask. Actually, the Elephant Armor sect wasn't the strongest among the 4 elemental academies because they practiced the ultimate style. All 7 of them had the same martial soul, type, and attack style. This style was usually about either you die or I die. It was very easy to target. For example, Zhu Zhuqing's Ice Crystal Claw changed the terrain. The 7 of them were caught off guard and couldn't fight at all. The weakness of the ultimate style was very obvious. If you could find a way to deal with it, you could easily win. It was the same for the other elemental academies. They were all soul masters with only 1 element. But the difference was that the other elemental academies used the balance style to display the ultimate style. Although they all had fire-type martial souls, their soul masters were also divided into auxiliary, defensive, and assault-type soul masters. Only the Elephant Armor sect had a single diamond mammoth. Other than a mutated martial soul, they didn't have many tactics to study. I reckon that once the other academies study the Elephant Armor sect's weakness, they will target it. Wang Fengxin thought. After pondering for a while in the resting area, Wang Feng led his 6 team members into the main arena through the passageway. Meanwhile, the battle between the Shrek Battle Team and the Elephant Armor Battle Team came to an end. The entire venue went from silence to eruption. It was completely ignited. Such an exciting battle naturally made people's blood boil. Moreover, the next two teams were the other explosive point of today's second round of qualifiers. The mysterious Purple Star College was going to face off against Blazing Academy. To be precise, Purple Star College wasn't mysterious at all. What was mysterious was 9 openings. Many of the audience members could tell that Purple Star College seemed to be planning to let this 1 start and continue fighting. Just like the slogan at the opening ceremony, one man through the competition. Although it was a gimmick, it was still very eye-catching. No matter who heard this slogan, even if they thought that Douluo was arrogant, ignorant, and arrogant, they would still want to see it. Or perhaps they would secretly hope that such a thing would really happen. This was because for many spectators, they wanted to see a different kind of battle that could stimulate them more. The second round, the Central Arena, Purple Star College versus Blazing Academy. The host, who was flying in mid-air, announced that the two teams had finally entered the arena. Countless pairs of eyes watched as the two teams slowly walked up the arena from the passageway. Purple Star College was led by 9 openings. The situation of the 6 people behind them was much better today. They even had smiles on their faces. Wang Feng could roughly understand their current feelings. How should he put it? Life was like a compulsion. If one couldn't resist, then one should just enjoy it. This was probably the mentality of the 6 people now. Since they couldn't resist, then they should just enjoy it. On the other side was Blazing Academy, who wore their golden red uniforms. The 7 of them walked up the arena in a triangular formation. They also had smiles on their faces. It was a relaxed kind of smile. However, Wang Feng could see that the 7 of them weren't relaxed. On the contrary, they were very serious. In other words, they were looking down on Purple Star College and 9 openings strategically. But if they really fought, they would attach great importance to their tactics and wouldn't slack off at all. At the forefront, which was also the center of the triangular formation, was a man with a medium build. Although his appearance was ordinary, he had an imposing heroic spirit. Wang Feng immediately used his skull to sense this person's information. He also guessed that this person was Blazing Academy's captain, Huo. He was a rank 43 assault-type soul master. His martial soul was a single-horned fire tyrannosaurus. This martial soul had an extremely powerful offensive ability, not inferior to Lu Erlong's fire dragon. Its frontal attack ability was even stronger. Following closely behind was another assault-type soul master. He was rank 39, and his martial soul was a blazing fire leopard. Behind him was a pair of twin men. Their martial souls were fire cranes. They were both agility-type soul masters and flying-type soul masters. They were very powerful, and their martial souls were also rank 39. At the end were 2 men and a woman. The 2 men were tall and looked like defense-type soul masters, but they were actually auxiliary-type soul masters. Their martial souls were Mars. Wang Feng could roughly guess that the function of this auxiliary-type martial soul should be to strengthen the power of the 7 people's fire-type attacks. The last one was the only girl among the 7, and she was also the tallest. Her figure was very well-proportioned. The so-called well-proportioned meant that she was big in the right places, small in the right places, thin in the right places, and plump in the right places. Her appearance was also extremely beautiful. She should be the control-type soul master of this group, Fire Dance. Her martial soul was Naruto, which was her own shadow. It was a very strange martial soul. However, her rank was the highest among the 4, rank 44. It was a very unlucky number, but it was abnormally powerful, and her popularity was obviously the highest. There was no other way. She was beautiful, strong, and had a temperament. In a battle, she would always attract the most attention. Just like Zhu Zhuqing, Fire Dance was the only control-type soul master of the Blazing Academy, so she was definitely the commander. However, after sensing it, Wang Feng heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that this Blazing Academy didn't have any mutated martial souls. There was nothing special about it. It wasn't much different from the original work, but its soul power rank was slightly higher. The 2 teams walked up to the stage. Both teams line up. The referee glanced at the two teams with a bit of curiosity in his eyes, as if he wanted to know what would happen when the two teams collided. 9-1. Huo Wuxuang looked at Wang Feng, who was dressed in a black robe, and a smile appeared on his face. You're really an interesting person. You want to fight through the competition alone. The first day was the beginning, and today will be your end. His tone was very arrogant. But as a student of the Elemental Academy, he had the capital to be arrogant. End of chapter. Chapter 333. The remaining 6 people, except for Huo Wu, glanced at Wang Feng and the 6 people behind him. In their eyes, other than some importance on Wang Feng, they were full of contempt. However, the 6 people behind Wang Feng didn't care. They just smiled as if it had nothing to do with them. Martial Soul Activation. The referee exited the stage and shouted. In an instant, the martial souls of the 7 people from Blazing Academy lit up like balls of flames. The scorching flames seemed to burn the blood of the audience, causing the entire stage to explode. On the other hand, the Purple Star College on the other side was incomparably quiet. The 6 people took a step back in unison and retreated to the edge of the stage, leaving only 9-1 Kai alone. For a moment, the audience was boiling again. Sure enough, Purple Star College really planned to do this. Were they really going to let this person win the entire tournament? If the first round was the reason, then the second round of the qualifiers was enough to prove Purple Star College's purpose. Where's your martial soul? I heard that your martial soul is an axe. Huo Wuxuang looked at 9-1 Kai, his irritable voice swallowing and spitting out waves of anger. This obviously wasn't a secret. After the first round, there were already people who inquired about Purple Star College's information about 9-1 Kai. Not to mention, their Elemental Academy had even more professional teachers. They would specially observe every match in the competition and then analyze the information of each team member and inform them. This would allow them to make more accurate judgments in the competition. However, this 9-1 chance, only losing 1 match. Judging from the match against Songhui Academy, the things that were revealed were really too little. He didn't even use his martial soul and only relied on his strong physical fitness to defeat Songhui Academy. But now, they were Blazing Academy. Wanting to rely on pure physical fitness was unrealistic. 1v7 wasn't so easy to achieve. Wang Feng was unmoved. Go! Huo Wuxuang shouted coldly. With him as the leader, the Fire Leopard Soul Master behind him directly attacked Wang Feng. As a rank 43 Soul Master, his speed and strength were not something that the Songhui Academy could compare to. With the explosive dragon martial spirit attached to his body, Huo Wuxuang's body rapidly swelled up. Even his hair was standing on end. His entire body would occasionally explode with loud explosive sounds, especially his arms, which were covered with a layer of dark red scales. The Dragon Series martial spirits were all extremely powerful martial spirits. They were outstanding in all aspects and had no obvious flaws. It was clearly not possible to defeat the rank 43 Horned Fire Tyrannosaurus martial soul through its flaws. At the same time, the 2 agility-type Flame Crane Soul Masters sprouted a pair of flaming wings behind their backs. They swooped down as if they were accumulating power. The 2 auxiliary-type Soul Masters behind Fire Dance also activated their soul skills at the same time. 3 soul rings lit up, and 7 sparks shone on the 2 Assault-type and Agility-type Soul Masters in front of him. Wang Feng remained motionless. It was as if he was waiting for Huo Wuxuang to attack. Huo Wuxuang was not afraid. The dragon claws in his hands lit up with a terrifying light. This was his second soul skill, Dragon Flame Fist. It could increase fire-type attacks by 100% and also had a concussive burning effect. Once it hit the enemy, it would cause the enemy to be in a concussive state and also have a burning effect. It was a powerful single-target attack. On the other side, the Fire Leopard's claws were burning with scorching flames as it charged towards Wang Feng. At the same time, the 7 sparks from the 2 auxiliary-type Soul Masters merged into Huo Wuxuang's body. It was as if a few sparks were thrown into a pile of flammable paper. Huo Wushuang's aura became even stronger, and the dragon claws on his fists burned with raging flames. His speed also became even faster. It was as if he had accelerated in advance, and he rushed in front of Wang Feng without any warning. The punch landed directly on Wang Feng's chest. The intense flame aura brought about by the huge momentum formed a hurricane. When this punch landed on Wang Feng's body, Wang Feng was startled. When Wang Feng's fist hit Wang Feng's black robe, it was blown back by the blazing hurricane. Everyone watched with incomparable astonishment. They did not expect Jiu Kai to take Huo Wushuang's attack without dodging. Logically speaking, although Huo Wushuang's speed was fast enough, with the speed Jiu Kai had displayed in the previous round, he should be able to easily dodge as long as he activated his martial soul. However, in the next moment, everyone's eyes suddenly widened. They saw that Huo Wushuang, who had punched Wang Feng, did not move him at all. It only made Wang Feng's body tremble slightly. However, Huo Wushuang's expression changed. Yes, it changed. This made everyone completely unable to understand. He was clearly the main attacker, and his soul skill had been enhanced by the two auxiliary-type soul masters. Why did Huo Wushuang's expression become so strange? Soon, everyone understood. They saw Wang Feng's body tremble slightly, and a burst of energy was released from his chest. Rumble. Huo Wushuang was like a cannonball that had been struck. He flew backwards in an even more terrifying manner. Furthermore, the dark red scales that covered his dragon claws were falling off. His entire arm had turned incomparably black and was still trembling. It was obvious that he was in a slightly crippled state. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. He used his soul skill to increase his strength, and with the help of the two Martian martial souls, Huo Wushuang's attack was extremely powerful. Huo Wushuang's punch was very, very strong. It was so strong that it exceeded his tolerance range. With the 150% rebound from the mysterious underworld armor and the weakening of his defense, the strength of the rebound was even more terrifying than the strength of Wang Feng's first shield. Wang Feng's first shield punch could at most send Huo Wushuang flying a dozen meters, but it was unable to weaken his defense. After all, Huo Wushuang's skin was thick and rough. Compared to Dai Mubai's martial soul, he was not much inferior. The weakening effect of the mysterious underworld armor was extremely terrifying. Just like this, Wang Feng did not use any strength and almost caused Huo Wushuang to be severely injured. Wang Feng looked at the slightly burning black robe on his body. With a slap of his palm, he extinguished the flames. The Fire Leopard Soul Master, who was originally planning to attack Wang Feng, was immediately stunned. Don't attack his chest. Restrain him. At this moment, Huo Wu's clear and pleasant voice rang out from afar, following which, she nodded towards the two agility-type soul masters. Evidently, as the commander, Huo Wu had already discovered that there was something fishy about this 9-1 open chest. Huo Wushuang did not reveal his martial soul earlier, but he was able to injure her brother to this extent. There was an 80% to 90% chance that it was the effect of the soul bone. After the two fire crane soul masters swooped down in midair received the order, the purple soul rings on their bodies suddenly lit up, following which they opened their mouths and two enormous flames shot towards Wang Feng. However, they did not attack Wang Feng. Instead, they surrounded him. The flames sprayed onto the ground and immediately ignited the terrain of the stage. Rings of flames immediately turned Wang Feng's surroundings into a fiery hell. End of chapter. Chapter 334. Changing the terrain. Wang Feng's eyes flashed with a strange light. This blazing academy was indeed much more powerful than the Elephant Academy. If they were to go up against the 7 people from the Elephant Academy, even if the captain had a mutated martial soul, they wouldn't be able to defeat this blazing academy. But this wasn't enough. At this moment, the two auxiliary-type soul masters with Mars martial souls used their soul skills again. The purple soul rings on their bodies suddenly lit up, and several sparks lit up from their bodies and rushed into the circles of flames. In an instant, it was as if oil had been poured into the fire, and the fire became even more terrifying. From less than 1 meter, it burned to a height of at least 2 meters, close to 3 meters. And the temperature was extremely high. No one could walk out of the terrifying, blazing hell. Even if they walked out, they would suffer large burns. Obviously, this was the Blazing Academy's combination soul skill. They created this kind of flaming terrain, and then used the 2 auxiliary-type Soul Masters Mars buffs to maximize the terrain to trap the enemy. At this moment, many teams felt their scalps go numb when they saw this scene. It was too difficult to deal with. Using 2 Assault-type Soul Masters to restrain the enemy, 2 Agility-type Soul Masters to change the terrain, and 2 Auxiliary-type Soul Masters to maximize the terrain. Almost the entire team could be completely restrained in this blazing hell. For a 7-man team, even if it couldn't completely restrain the entire team, it could still separate the opponent's team and restrain more than 4 people. Not to mention, there was only one person, Jio Ikai. When this blazing hell appeared, many of the spectators' expressions changed. Everyone could see that Jio Ikai was at an extreme disadvantage at this moment. Huo Shuang and the Fire Leopard's attacks just now were meant to restrain him, even though Huo Shuang had paid an extremely painful price. But now, it was obvious that Jio Ikai was at the point of defeat. At this moment, unless Jio Ikai had the ability to fly and could fly into the sky, he would be able to avoid the raging flames of this blazing hell. And even if he flew into the sky, the hot air currents brought about by the burning flames would cause a lot of trouble for flying-type Soul Masters. It would be very difficult to maintain balance in the air, and once he lost his balance, he would be easily attacked by the opponent. The blazing hell that covered more than half of the stage was not inferior to the ice crystal ground formed by Zhu Zhuqing's hand. Instead, it was stronger and more threatening. So strong. In the audience stand, Tang San looked at the 7 people from Blazing Academy with a solemn expression. Fortunately, they were able to watch this match. If they were to encounter such a situation in the future, once the opponent used fiery hell to change the terrain of the arena, they would definitely die. Their Shrek Academy team would instantly be in danger. Tang San knew that his blue silvergrass was now immune to fire. He wasn't afraid of being burned by fire, but the others weren't the same. If they were to encounter such a fiery hell, their team of 7 would be instantly separated. Then, they were defeated one by one. "Brother, what do you think you will do?" Xiao Wu asked curiously. "Even now, he hasn't used his special weapon. How is he going to leave the inferno hell? In this kind of terrain, even if we eat mushroom sausages, it's not easy to fly over." The mushroom sausage allowed them to possess wings and use them to fly. Furthermore, the airflow brought about by the raging flames was too terrifying. Flying with wings would be greatly hindered. Another reason was that if they were to fly, they would be treated as a target. After all, the people from Blazing Academy had long-range attacks. The control-type Soul Master, Huo Wu, hadn't made a move yet. This meant that they still had a backup plan. The 5 elemental academies are the symbol of the Heaven Do Empire. There's no need to doubt their strength. The Grandmaster saw the seriousness in everyone's eyes and explained, "You've already seen how strong the Elephant Armor sect is. The next few elemental academies will show their strength one by one. We can't afford to be careless." Tang San and the others nodded and stopped talking. At this moment, in the arena, Huo Wu stared at Jio Ikai, who was in the inferno hell, and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. She was waiting and watching. What could Jio Ikai do? At this moment, Huo Shuang stood up and walked to the front. However, her expression was very gloomy. Her scale-covered arm was still sore and numb, and she couldn't exert any strength. Her body was also injured. There should be a soul bone in his chest. Huo Shuang said in a deep voice, "Otherwise, I wouldn't have been reflected by such a terrifying force. Furthermore, it could weaken my defense. I don't know what kind of soul bone it is, but it's so strong that he didn't even suffer a single injury. If he has the ability to fly, With my control, I'll definitely be able to lock him in midair and shoot him down with Fire Cloud and Fire Rain's long-range attacks. Wu said crisply, "It's not that easy to win this competition alone. Furthermore, he hasn't released his martial soul yet. Is he looking down on us?" "Yes, he hasn't even released his martial soul. Now, even if he releases his martial soul, it won't have any effect, right?" Hu Wushuang shook her head and said, "The axe martial soul is a tool martial soul. It won't be of any help to him in his current situation. We just need to wait a little longer and we should win." But at this moment, just as Hu Wushuang finished speaking, Wang Feng, who was far away, moved. Suddenly, everyone's eyes widened. Whether it was the VIP seats or the audience in the spectator stands, everyone's eyes widened. Streaks of black light quickly gathered under Wang Feng's feet. This caused Wang Feng to gradually rise higher and higher. In just a moment, under Wang Feng's feet, there were two thin and long sticks that were like bamboo poles. They were at least 4 meters tall. From afar, it looked like Wang Feng was stepping on two black sticks. Then, he leisurely walked out of the fiery hell around him. He was neither fast nor slow. As for these two black sticks, no one knew what they were made of. They were completely unaffected by the extremely high temperature of the flames. Wang Feng knew that although his body was immune to the flames, it was only a part of his body that was immune to the flames. His head wasn't immune to the flames, so he didn't want to rush out directly. This flame wasn't ordinary. After being amplified, the temperature was extremely high. Ordinary means couldn't extinguish it. The most important thing was that the range was too big. If he rushed over directly, his black robe and mask, even if they could withstand the high temperature, they would be instantly burned clean. Under the watchful eyes of so many people, Wang Feng didn't want to expose himself. He also didn't want to be burned naked. Although the Blazing Academy doesn't seem to have changed, it does seem to be a lot stronger, Wang Fengxin secretly thought. This blazing hell was indeed a very powerful killing move. Even if Tang San and his team encountered it, Tang San's martial soul and body were immune to the flames. If they encountered it, the probability of losing would be very high. This was because the effect of the blazing hell on his team was too obvious. He was alone. Although this blazing hell was very effective, he just had to walk out. If it was a team, once the members were separated, even if they could avoid the flames, it was inevitable that they would be defeated one by one. End of chapter. Chapter 335. Fortunately, Wang Feng was able to control thousands of Xianming spikes and form them into two forms. Just like now, he had to form two special spikes and control them to bring him out of the fiery hell easily. Otherwise, Wang Feng could only use second gear to rush over or use the soul-slaying spear to fly out with the soul-devouring blood wings. But if he did that, he would expose himself too much. This was just the preliminaries, so there was no need to do that. Besides, Wang Feng planned to only use the ability of the Xianming armor. He would not use the other abilities if he could. He had to admit that using two forms of Xianming spikes at the same time was very useful. Other than using the two forms to attack, it could also be used for defense, escape, dodging, and so on. It allowed Wang Feng to think of more tactical solutions. At this moment, seeing Wang Feng walk out of the fiery hell so easily, the audience was completely dumbfounded. It could be done like that? What exactly were those two black sticks? Soul bone? What kind of soul bone is that? Hu Wu was also stunned. She did not expect him to walk out of the fiery hell instead of flying. And he walked out of it so easily? On the spectator stand, Tang San and the others were also stunned for a long time. They looked at Jiu Yikai, who was standing on the two sticks and seemed to have grown several meters taller. He walked out of the fiery hell as if it was nothing. This is his special weapon. Ma Hongjuan's eyes lit up. What kind of weapon is that? Not only can it be used to kill enemies, but it can also be used like that. Isn't it too powerful? Is it omnipotent? The group was silent. They were not the only ones. Many people were silent. The people in the VIP seats were also silent. It was as if he had never expected this to happen. It must be his soul bone. but I don't know what kind of soul bone it is. It can be used like that? Gu Rong was very interested. It's not just a soul bone. Maybe it could be done through various special mechanisms? Ning Fengji frowned and said, for example, Tang San's hidden weapons have a complicated structure. They're usually small things, but the hidden weapons that shoot out are very powerful. If this is a special mechanism, it's not impossible. But the competition restricts the use of these things. He shouldn't be so stupid to break the rules. And this might really be his soul bone. Soul bones were sought after by countless soul masters. To this day, no one dared to say that they could completely determine the use of a soul bone. All kinds of soul bones were possible for soul masters to possess. Almost everyone guessed that it was a soul bone. His guess was right, but so what? His Xianming armor had many abilities. Just the Xianming spike's ability to transform into various forms was enough to make many people break their heads. Wang Feng had come out of the infernal inferno. After witnessing the strength of the Blazing Academy, Wang Feng rushed toward Fire Dance. In the blink of an eye, the iron rod formed by the mysterious dark spike under his feet turned into countless black lights and disappeared. Wang Feng had let the other party attack first because he wanted to see if the Blazing Academy was different from the Elephant Armor sect. There were changes. He had become stronger. Therefore, Wang Feng naturally did not plan to waste any more time after witnessing it. Sorry, I have to finish this battle in 10 seconds. At this moment, the 7 people who had already regained their senses attacked Wang Feng in an instant. Come here. 2 auxiliary-type soul masters and 2 agility-type soul masters immediately surrounded Fire Dance. Fire Dance's expression was very serious. The 4 people continuously poured their soul power into her. She was a control-type soul master, but she had an extremely strong offensive-type soul skill. It was just that the 4 of them had to work together to unleash it. Now was her chance. It was also the last killing move she had prepared for her opponent. It was a powerful fire-type soul skill that could lock onto a single target. As long as one was hit by it, even a rank 50 soul master would lose his ability to fight. However, Wang Feng was too fast. Huo Wushuang was charging toward him. Although his right arm could no longer fight, he still had his left arm. It was a pity that Wang Feng did not give him a chance to attack this time. Almost in a flash, Wang Feng dodged sideways and threw a lightning-fast punch at Huo Wushuang's lower abdomen. Huo Wushuang's expression changed drastically. Blood vessels appeared on his neck like loaches as he was sent flying more than 10 meters away. The other Fire Leopard Soul Master was hit by Wang Feng's shoulder. Using the weight of the Xianming armor, he directly knocked this assault-type Soul Master out of the arena and onto the ground. The scene was extremely shocking. It was as if he had been hit by a huge truck as he was sent flying. No one knew why the force of the collision was so terrifying. It was like a real dragon in human form. However, the Xianming armor now weighed more than 5,000 kilograms. After absorbing the Xianming armor at level 33, the 2,000 caddies he absorbed had more than doubled now that he was level 45. Under normal circumstances, Wang Feng used his soul power to control the weight of the Xianming armor. Then he used his physical body to control it. On one hand, he used the weight of the Xianming armor to train himself. On the other hand, he could reduce the impact of the Xianming armor on his daily life. In battle, Wang Feng naturally used the advantage of the Xianming armor to its fullest. For example, when he hit the Fire Leopard Soul Master, he immediately retracted the soul power that he had controlled the armor. The weight of the Xianming armor pressed down on Wang Feng's body. Even the arena was dented by Wang Feng's steps. With his terrifying speed and the impact of the Xianming armor, Wang Feng believed that even a small truck would be smashed to pieces by Wang Feng. Furthermore, this method was more sinister and difficult to defend against. This was because Wang Feng could control the Xianming armor at any time. He could conceal himself whenever he wanted, and he could let the weight of the Xianming armor bear on his body at any time. Ordinary soul masters wouldn't dare to do this because it would cause damage to their bodies and make them uncomfortable. However, Wang Feng's body was strong, and the Xianming armor was already a part of his body. It was very easy for him to use it. The Fire Leopard Soul Master was in an even worse state than Huo Wushuang. This was because Huo Wushuang was sent flying by Wang Feng's punch. The force behind his punch wasn't as strong as the Xianming armor's impact. Following this, Wang Feng continued to charge towards Huo Wu. These two assault-type soul masters couldn't even stop him for 2 seconds. If Huo Wushuang was in his peak condition, he might be able to stop him for a while longer. However, Huo Wushuang's defenses were weakened, and his arm was injured. His second soul skill, Dragon Flame Fist, was also greatly affected by the Xianming armor's recoil. At this moment, a huge ring of fire spread out from Huo Wu's body. This was Huo Wu's third soul skill, Fire Ring of Resistance. It was a type of crowd control soul skill that could send enemies within a certain range flying. At the same time, Huo Wu's second soul ring lit up. Many fire chestnut thorns suddenly appeared on top of the ring of fire. This caused the Fire Ring of Resistance, which originally didn't have any offensive effects, to possess an extraordinary offensive ability. The fire chestnut thorns emitted a bright, cold light. It was obvious that they contained intense fire poison. Following this, Huo Wu's first soul skill, Flaming Shadow Shackles. Her fire shadow martial soul burned with raging flames. It formed a chain that went straight for Wang Feng. End of chapter. Chapter 336. After using 3 soul skills, Huo Wu's fourth purple soul ring slowly lit up. The last soul skill required the cooperation of several people. Otherwise, it would be difficult for her to use it with her current soul power. Using 3 soul skills in a row was just to delay Wang Feng. Their opponent's combat speed was too fast. From the time he used his soul bone to form 2 iron rods and walked out of the fiery hell to the moment he charged towards them, it only took a few seconds. This gave them a great shock, and also made the 7 people from the Blazing Academy feel that 9-1 Kai's strength was much stronger than they had imagined. Just a punch that sent Huo Wushuang flying and a collision that knocked the Fire Leopard out of the stage showed that he was ridiculously strong. Huo Wu focused her mind, and a white ball of light emitted from her hand. It seemed to be condensing soul power, and this ball of light became bigger and bigger. At this moment, Wang Feng watched this scene from afar, but there was no change in his expression. 3 control attacks came. A cold light flashed in his hand, and a small dagger appeared. Shrek's team was very familiar with this dagger. It was this dagger that had instantly killed the captain of the Godslayer squad. Now here, at this moment, the dagger in Wang Feng's hand elegantly and accurately cut the Fire Ring of Resistance. The sharp and mysterious dagger instantly cut a huge hole in the Fire Ring of Resistance. The Fire Ring of Resistance, formed by energy, was completely broken by the dagger formed by the mysterious underworld spike. The Fire Ring of Resistance was extremely fast. To cut it so accurately was definitely not something an ordinary agility-type soul master could do. One needed to have an extremely high grasp of strength and timing to be able to do it. Immediately after, he charged through the Fire Ring of Resistance and attacked with the Shadow Bind. Similarly, Wang Feng's speed did not decrease. He was like an assassin. The dagger in his hand emitted a cold light due to the high-speed rotation and directly cut the Shadow Bind into 2 thin and short chains from the center. Then, they separated and slashed across Wang Feng's 2 sides. Countless people held their breaths as they watched 9-1 Kai display a terrifying battle stance. Every move he made was without any fancy movement. With a punch and a collision, he directly broke through the restraints of the 2 assault-type soul masters. Then, he used the mysterious dagger in his hand to accurately and elegantly break Huo Wu's 2 control-type soul skills as if it had been precisely calculated. Fire, dance, yow. At this moment, the ball of light in Fire Dance's hand condensed a scorching energy that made one's heart palpitate. It rose up high as if it wanted to destroy the world. However, right at this moment. With a flash of light and shadow, the black robe flickered like lightning and suddenly appeared in front of the four people. But before Fire Dance could finish her last word, Yang, her snow-white neck was strangled by a large hand, and she couldn't say the last word. Whoosh! A short blade immediately appeared at Fire Dance's neck. A cold, hoarse, and somewhat deep voice rang out. "You've lost!" Whoosh! In an instant, everyone was shocked to see this. Fire Dance didn't even have the time to unleash her ultimate move. In the 10 seconds it took 9 Split to charge out of blazing hell, he had already broken through all the defensive lines and arrived before Fire Dance. He didn't even have the chance to release his ultimate move, controlling the entire battlefield. The four Soul Masters by Fire Dance's side didn't have much fighting strength because they had lost most of their soul power to Fire Dance. He could only watch helplessly. Fire Dance also widened her eyes as she looked at 9 Split, who was only 20 centimeters away from her. She could clearly see the cold eyes behind a mask, and it even made her heart palpitate. "We've lost. How can we lose? How long has it been? Not even 10 seconds. Less than 10 seconds since the opponent charged out of blazing hell. Is this 9 Split strength?" Fire Dance's eyes were in a daze as she looked at the only cold eyes she could see. Throughout the entire battle, only blazing hell made him use his soul bone. After that, when the opponent left blazing hell, he relied on pure combat strength and defeated them within 10 seconds. It didn't seem any different from the previous Songhui Academy. The opponent seemed to have seen through everything. Fire Dance looked at Wang Feng, her hands clenched tightly as her mind buzzed. Their blazing academy had lost. If they had lost to other academies, she could still barely accept it. But now, they had only lost to one person. When he didn't make a move, 9 Split stood there like a mountain that was difficult to shake. Once he made a move, it was as fast as lightning. One hit, one kill, there was no sloppiness at all. He didn't even give her a chance to use her ultimate move. It was too terrifying. "We admit defeat," Fire Dance said in a daze. Not only her, but the other members of Blazing Academy were also dejected. No one could accept the feeling of being mercilessly crushed. 9 Split, I'll remember you." Fire Dance suddenly raised her head and stared at Wang Feng, her eyes burning with flames. This kind of blow was extremely deep and indelible to the proud sons of heaven and the elite geniuses of the academy. Wang Feng didn't say anything. He kept his dagger, his black robe fluttered, and he turned around to leave. He didn't even bother to listen to the referee's announcement. The referee swallowed a mouthful of water and said in a trembling voice, "The second round, Purple Star College wins." Wow, the audience was in an uproar. What kind of monster did they recruit? Dean Fei Luan wiped the cold sweat off his forehead from the spectator stand. It wasn't just him. At this moment, many people had the same feeling. What exactly was this 9-1 split? What kind of monster was he? Isn't he too strong? This time, Tai Long was dumbfounded. His moves were thunderous, precise, and meticulous, as expected of Sylva's Great Soul Arena's 9 split. Dai Mubai looked at Tang San and whispered, "I'm afraid this person will be our biggest enemy in the preliminaries and even the promotion round." Every battle he fought was too short. To be able to do this alone is truly too terrifying. Tang San shook his head. The most important thing is that his axe martial soul hasn't appeared yet. I think his special weapon should be a soul bone, and not an ordinary one. Tang San often thought about himself. If he was alone, what would he do if he faced 7 people? It was very difficult. He wouldn't be able to take care of 2 assault-type soul masters as easily as his opponents. Not to mention using precise means to cut the fire rings and chains easily. It was simply a battle of art. The rest of the people were also trembling. This is also because he can't kill. Otherwise, these 7 people would die faster. Ma Hongjun shuddered. He's already holding back, but what he's shown is too little. We have all seen it. I don't know how much strength he has hidden. This person won't fake the competition, right? Is there anyone at this age who is so strong? Jingling couldn't help but ask. Could it be a soul sage in disguise? Everyone, impossible. The Grand Master shook his head. You have already been tested. The person who tested you is at least a soul sage. This competition can't be faked. At least the level of your martial soul and soul power can't be faked. Jingling was just saying. Naturally, she didn't think it was true. Several people were discussing. I don't know if Brother Feng can fight with him. At this moment, Xiao Wu suddenly sighed. Let's continue tonight. By the way, please count the votes. End of chapter. Chapter 337. While Tang San and the others were discussing in the spectator stands. In the VIP seats, Hui and Jun, who had wanted to leave after the battle between the Elephant Armor Sect and Shrek Academy, didn't leave. After the battle between the Purple Star College and the Blazing Academy ended, Hui and Jun, who was originally angry, calmed down and remained silent. Our Heavendo Empire actually produced such a genius soul master. In the silent VIP seats, the Snowy Night Emperor was the first to speak and let out a soft sigh. In the first round, Jiu won. Kai's victory over the Tsanghui Academy had only shocked a few people, but because he was only one person, it wasn't enough to attract special attention. Then this round, it was enough for them to take it seriously. The Blazing Academy was one of the 5 great elemental academies of the Heavendo Empire. However, in this short battle, they had once again lost to the Purple Star College. They had lost to this mysterious Jiu Wan Kai. This would serve as a warning to the other great elemental academies. Reality had proven that Jiu Wan Kai was really strong and could really win the tournament. Not to mention the finals. Even in the qualifiers and the subsequent qualifiers, this 9-1 would be a special and formidable opponent. The Elite Soul Master Tournament had been held many times. However, this was the first time such a special Soul Master had appeared. Gu Rong, Ning Fengji, and Bishop Salas were silent. At this moment, the audience was still roaring because of the victory. They were all shouting the name of the Purple Star College. This was because many people didn't know the name Jiu Wan Kai. It seems like the Shrek Academy and the Purple Star College will be the 2 dark horses of this year's tournament. Gu Rong whispered to Ning Fengji. Let's not talk about the Purple Star College first. The students of the Shrek Academy are all very talented and strong. They aren't inferior to the Heavendo Imperial Academy. Your Majesty, who is the Dean of the Shrek Academy? Bishop Salas asked. The Purple Star College was obviously the most mysterious one, Jiu Wan Kai. It wasn't that there was nothing to pay attention to. If he wanted to pay attention to someone, he should pay attention to 9 openings. But Shrek Academy wasn't that simple. Currently, there were already 4 soul ancestors, the strongest of whom was at the 45th rank. They also had a 10,000-year soul ring and an extremely powerful fusion skill. Whether it was talent or strength, they were all extraordinary. Moreover, it wasn't just 1 or 2 of them, but many of them. Lord Bishop, I can answer this question for you. Ning Fengji smiled as he looked at Shui Yi. The dean's name is Flender. He was once one of the famous Golden Iron Trio. The other 2 are called Yu Xiaojiang, who is commonly referred to as Grandmaster. The other was called Lu Erlong. Now, the students of Shrek Academy are taught by these 3 people. That Tang San is even a disciple of the master. Master Yu Xiaojiang? Unexpectedly, when Bishop Sakas heard this, his expression immediately changed. Hui and Jun's complexion also changed. Oh, Lord Bishop, you know him too? Ning Fengji was surprised to see this. This platinum bishop of the Martial Spirit Palace had always been arrogant and complacent. He didn't take anyone seriously. Although the Golden Iron Trio was quite famous in the world of soul cultivators, it was reasonable for him to change his expression just by hearing the name. The 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect had always been at odds with the Martial Spirit Palace, so he didn't know much about the inner workings of the Martial Spirit Palace. But Hui and Jun's Elephant Armor sect was a vassal of the Martial Spirit Palace, so he naturally knew some of the secrets of the Martial Spirit Palace. No, I don't. Bishop Sakas's complexion returned to normal. Fortunately, Hui and Jun muttered a few words. Ning Fengji didn't ask any more questions. He just watched the competition while occasionally chatting with Shui Yi or Gu Rong. On the other side, Wang Feng didn't watch the competition anymore. Instead, he returned to the academy and continued to cultivate. Wang Feng didn't learn the multitasking skill, but he didn't slack off on multitasking. However, if he wanted to do 3 things at once, it would be too difficult. Although it sounded cool to have 3 weapons with different mindsets. But in fact, if one's mind was divided, it meant that one wouldn't be able to focus on one weapon. For example, in today's competition, if Wang Feng had controlled 2 short blades, it would have been very difficult to easily cut through the opponent's fire ring and chain. Therefore, he only condensed 1 short blade and concentrated on controlling it. Only then could he achieve such a clever battle. However, with more practice, Wang Feng would be able to use 2 weapons perfectly sooner or later. Not long after, the rest of the people also came back from the Great Soul Arena, but they all went to rest or practice. Sometimes, playing the competition was tiring, but watching the competition was also tiring, because they watched the competition not only to see the excitement, but also to analyze it. For example, analyzing the strength of each member of the 2 teams, and calculating how many third soul skills the opponent could use. How many moves can I take? How to break it? Are there any flaws in the opponent's soul skills? Are there any combinations of soul skills between each team member? These were all things that needed to be thought about after watching the competition. Just like Tang San. After watching the 9-1 Open competition, Tang San would put himself in the situation from his own point of view and think about how he should resolve these dangers. Simulating in his mind, this kind of analysis was not easier than cultivation. Therefore, in the next few days, they not only had to play the competition, but also needed to watch the competition. Soon, a week passed. Shrek Academy's record was still a complete victory. They had been in a winning streak. It could be said that Shrek Academy was now really famous. There were also several other elemental academies, such as Leitang, Divine Wind, and Heavenly Water. Because Jihua lost 1 match each, their winning streak was stopped. The only one who lost this match was Purple Star College. Elephant Armor Sect was even worse, losing to Shrek Academy, and then lost to Purple Star College. And now, the 9-1 Open's reputation could be said to have completely suppressed more than 20 other academies. The only one that couldn't compare was Shrek Academy. There was no other way. There were too many beauties in Shrek Academy, especially Zhu Zhuqing. After the battle with Elephant Armor Sect, her popularity was the highest among them. Purple Star College was not comparable to Shrek Academy because only the 9-1 Open was popular. However, it was the academy that caused the most fear and terror amongst the 20 over battle teams. There was no other reason. It was because of the 9-1 Open. There were 7 days in a week, and the preliminaries had reached the 7th round. Until now, there was not a single team that could survive for more than 10 seconds under the 9-1 Open's attack. It was too terrifying. Those academies that didn't have any Soul Masters above rank 40 would be defeated within 7 to 8 seconds from start. The 9-1 Open's moves were also very simple. Speed, strength, terrifying reaction, and precise attacks. It seemed to be able to find the perfect attacking rhythm in every match. Once it started, it was a merciless attack. Chapter 338. It didn't matter if you were auxiliary type, control type, agility type, or assault type. You couldn't withstand Nine's attacks. Agility type Soul Masters weren't as fast as him. Assault type Soul Masters weren't as strong as him. Control type Soul Masters couldn't obstruct him at all, and auxiliary type Soul Masters were as fragile as paper in front of him. He didn't know how to defend himself either, and he could easily neutralize any attack. Some teams didn't believe it. In the 4th round of the qualifiers, the Purple Star team met the Elephant Armor Sect. The 7 burly men wanted to surround Jioi Kai. However, 9 rammed into them at high speed, and their formation was destroyed. After that, 9 executed a decapitation plan. He targeted Huyan Li and beat him up so badly that even his skull and soul bone were knocked out. 9's body didn't seem strong, but every time he rammed into them, they were dizzy and couldn't maintain their formation at all. He was the only Soul Master who managed to break through the Elephant Armor Sect's formation so far. That battle could be said to be shocking to the eyes. This was because Elephant Armor Sect's shortcomings were obvious to all. Most of the academies would choose to avoid the Elephant Armor Sect's formation. Only Nine's one person could take on the Elephant Armor Sect head-on. He even destroyed their formation. The advantage of this was that the Elephant Armor Sect was in chaos, and even Huyan Li was dumbfounded. Wang Feng's Xianming armor weighed more than 5,000 kilograms, or more accurately, 12,000 kilograms. He charged forward at an extremely fast speed, and at the moment of impact, all the weight of the Xianming armor was added to his body. 12,000 kilograms was equivalent to 6 tons. What did 6 tons mean? The large buses in his previous life were about this heavy. With his speed, he was much faster than those buses. If he rammed into an auxiliary type or control type Soul Master, his entire body would be crushed. Only assault type Soul Masters could barely withstand it. Although the 7 of them had diamond mammoths, they were large in size and strong in strength, and were in a row. They couldn't be sent flying. However, it was too easy to break their formation. As long as their formation was broken, the fighting power of the 7 members of the Elephant Armor Sect would be greatly reduced. Wang Feng targeted Huyan Li directly and beat him up. Compared to Shrek's previous fight, it was a violent battle. There was no other choice but to fight head-on. After 6 rounds, many academies were shocked to discover a fact. 9-1 didn't seem to have any weaknesses. The only weakness he had was that he had never used his martial soul before. What kind of weakness was that? Most importantly, did 9 odds have any other tricks up his sleeve? For the next few matches, he stood on the field the moment the match started. The opposing team had no way of attacking him. A week later, the 7th round of the preliminaries began. As usual, Shrek's group arrived at the Great Soul Arena. Because of the winning streak, the Shrek Academy was like heaven and earth compared to the first day. I've just received news. Today, Bio Academy has already admitted defeat and forfeited their match against Purple Star College. Flinder pushed up his glasses and said, "I also got you a new advertisement." Ahem. Everyone was speechless. There were already several advertising badges and slogans pasted on their backs. You admitted defeat again? Ma Hongjun shook his head. This is already the 3rd team to admit defeat. 9-1, I don't know if it has traumatized the other teams. If not for Zhuqing and our team, I'm afraid our academy's reputation might not be as good as 9 odds. Yes, this was already the 3rd team to admit defeat. Before Purple Star College met Elephant Armor Clan, many teams wanted to give it a try. It was only after Joey and Elephantine Clan that their opponents admitted defeat in the next 2 rounds of qualifiers. They couldn't fight at all. Because they couldn't find a weakness, they couldn't target it. If there was a Soul Master above rank 40, they could still fight. If there wasn't even a Soul Ancestor, they would automatically admit defeat. The good news is that your opponent today has also admitted defeat and forfeited. Master walked over and said to everyone, "Today, you can rest for a while and watch the other team's matches. Watch the matches of the other elemental academies." Hearing this, everyone cheered. Finally, they met a team that admitted defeat. Sometimes, admitting defeat was a way to save energy. This was because they didn't need to win every match. They just needed to win more than others in the preliminaries. Admitting defeat would allow the team members to be in good condition for the next match. If they fought, they wouldn't be able to win. If they lost, it would be a waste of energy. Therefore, when facing an opponent that had almost no chance of winning, they wouldn't fight recklessly. We seem to be quite lucky. Xiao Wu giggled. We haven't met anyone from the elemental academies, but we met 2 from 9 odds. But, at this point, Xiao Wu suddenly stopped talking. Their academy was quite lucky. They didn't meet anyone from the elemental academies, so they had a smooth week. Most of the time, only 3 of Shrek's 7 monsters were sent out. They didn't reveal too much. However, that 9-1 open was like a huge mountain pressing down on everyone's bodies. Especially the match between 9 odds and Elephant Armor Clan. They saw it with their own eyes. The pure collision of strength made their scalps tingle. No one expected 9 odds to use such a method to break through Elephant Armor Clan's attack. It could be said that this was the most direct, most difficult, and most effective method. Don't be discouraged. Look, is that Skywater Academy's match? We're in for a treat today. At this moment, Wang Feng smiled and pointed to the arena. 7 girls with different graces were like water fairies. On the stage, they attracted the attention of everyone in an instant. As one of the 5 elemental academies, Skywater Academy had always maintained a winning streak. Furthermore, they had won easily. Faced with 7 beautiful and alluring girls, the majority of the teams would have their bones melted the moment they stepped onto the stage. What was the point of fighting? Ma Hongjun, Oscar, Dai Mubai, and even Tang San turned their attention to the arena. At this moment, Tang San was probably the only one who was still analyzing the soul skills of the girls from Skywater Academy. For people like Ma Hongjun, their eyes were filled with caution. Skywater Academy was one of the most popular and strongest teams among the 20 or so teams, second only to Purple Star College. What are you looking at? Don't look. I, Zhuqing, and Xiao Wu don't look good? Ning Rongrong walked in front of Wang Feng and tried to stand on her tiptoes to block Wang Feng's view. However, even if she stood on her tiptoes, she could only reach Wang Feng's mouth. She couldn't block Wang Feng's eyes at all. You look good too, Ma Hongjun chuckled and whispered. Although the flowers at home are beautiful, they can't resist the fragrance of wildflowers. We can't pick them, but can't we smell them? Bang! Xiao will hit the back of Ma Hongjun's head with a chestnut. Chapter 339. Damn fatty. Don't you know you want to pursue Sister Jiangzhu? How dare you say such a thing? Xiao Wu glared at Ma Hongjun and whispered, I can't pursue her. Sister Jiangzhu is older than me. I've turned over a new leaf and don't want to play around. I want to be an honest person. I'd better pick someone who's about the same age as me. Ma Hongjun glanced at Jiangzhu and muttered. Jiangzhu was 18 years old, almost 19 years old. She was almost 5 years older than him, although she was quite good-looking and had a good figure. But Ma Hongjun was not like before. Because his fire phoenix had taken the sparrow-crowned phoenix flower, Wang Feng had told him that if he found a suitable girl, they could cultivate together. It would bring great help to both sides, but he could not mess around. So Ma Hongjun had long changed those bad habits. Now, when he looked at beautiful women, he would just look at them a few more times. He did not have any thoughts of provoking them, unless he met someone he really liked. Wang Feng actually did not look at Skywater Academy. His gaze fell on the rest of the elemental academies. These elemental academies generally did not show their talents. They all had hidden their strength, but it was still possible to see something. Thunder Academy was backed by the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan. From the name, one could tell that they walked the path of pure attack. The 7 people from Godwind Academy all had flying martial spirits. Generally, they would fight in the air at the beginning. It was a very powerless fighting style. Each elemental academy had different characteristics. As for the specifics, I'll have to meet them and fight them first. Wang Fengxin secretly thought Blazing Academy's performance is already very strong. These other elemental academies are definitely not as simple as the original work. At this time, while thinking, suddenly, a group of students wearing moon-white robes came from afar. It was the students of Tsanghui Academy. Seeing this, Tang San and the others' faces suddenly sank slightly. On the opening ceremony, these Tsanghui Academy had specially come to pick a fight. But now, the Tsanghui Academy looked at Shrek and the others, not daring to look directly at them. The momentum was completely different from the first day. After all, the current strength and number of victories of Shrek Academy had completely crushed them. In these 7 rounds, the Tsanghui Academy's record was not bad. Except for the first round, they were unlucky and lost 2 rounds. Both the Elephant Armor Clan and the Blazing Academy lost 1 match. Among the many battle teams, their strength was considered to be above average. However, they were completely incomparable to the current Shrek Academy. Yo, isn't this Tsanghui Academy? Ma Hongjun's face was full of ridicule as he said, on the first day, A team was defeated in 7 seconds. They didn't even touch the corner of their opponent's clothes. That's amazing. Hearing this, the leader of the Tsanghui Academy was instantly enraged. However, he did not say anything because the teacher beside him, Shernyan, glared at them. Then, he left with Tsanghui Academy without saying a word. Fatty, don't lower our status. When we meet them, we'll teach them a lesson. Dai Mubai's eyes flashed coldly. The strength of Tsanghui Academy, they thoroughly understood on the first day. If they met again, needless to say, they would definitely beat them up. You guys better be careful. At this moment, Wang Feng frowned and reminded them, I'm afraid Shernyan will attack you. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Attack? Ma Hongjun was stunned. Captain, do you mean that he will kill us? Why not? Wang Feng said indifferently. They might meet your team soon. In order to maintain their victory, they might really attack you guys. Is it that surprising? Everyone was silent because they had never thought of such a thing. Lin Feng is right. Flinders said in a deep voice. The remnant dream that Shernyan has is a very difficult martial soul to deal with. Moreover, this person will seek revenge for the smallest grievance. I've said before, don't think that those who participate in the competition are all good people. Sometimes, in order to win, they will do anything. These few days, you guys better be careful. Don't go out alone, especially those who have already shown their strength. Tang San, Mubai, Zhu Qing, Xiao Wu, the 4 of you must be extremely careful. These 4 people had all performed in the competition, especially Tang San's 10,000-year soul ring. Brother Feng, even if they want to attack, they should attack you, right? At this moment, Xiao Wu giggled. You are our ultimate weapon, and you also have a 10,000-year soul ring. In the eyes of outsiders, you are still just an auxiliary-type soul master. Xiao Wu's words stunned Wang Feng. That Shernyan shouldn't be so stupid, right? I have only played once in the Shrek team. In these days' battles, Xiao San was obviously the main force, and he was the soul of Shrek's 7 pairs. If they want to deal with someone, it should be him, right? Wang Feng shook his head, feeling that it was unlikely. However, although Wang Feng's reminder was reasonable, everyone mainly felt that the other party would not dare to do such a thing in the street in Heavendo City. Only outside of Heavendo City or in some dark alleyways would that be possible. As long as they traveled together and didn't run around, Shernyan should not find a chance. Not long after, the group finished watching the competition and planned to go back. Because there was no competition today, they could take a little rest. Work and rest should be balanced, and they couldn't let their spirits be tense all the time. Wang Feng returned from the Great Soul Arena, accompanied by Ning Rongrong. Although everyone did not take Shernyan seriously, they would still travel in pairs and not act alone, just in case. Zhu Zhuqing and Xiao Wu planned to buy something together. Tang San and Ma Hongjun went back to the academy, and Oscar and Dai Mubai planned to have a meal first. Especially the 2 auxiliary-type soul masters, they couldn't travel together because Oscar and Ning Rongrong didn't have fighting strength. So Ning Rongrong could only follow Wang Feng. These 2 days of battles, my brain is big. I've been analyzing every day. Let's go shopping and relax today, okay? Ning Rongrong pulled Wang Feng's sleeve. Her tone was a little soft and gentle. Forget it, Wang Feng thought for a moment and said, if that Shernyan really attacks us, it will be really difficult to deal with. I'll take you directly back to the academy, okay? Ning Rongrong didn't play these days, and he and Ma Hongjun were reserved as secret weapons. So many teams didn't know yet. Don't worry. Ning Rongrong shook her head. In broad daylight, how can he? Why is there no one on the street? As Ning Rongrong was talking, she suddenly found that there was no one around. The whole street was unusually quiet, and there was no pedestrian. The surrounding shops were also suffused with a faint halo, and the doors were tightly closed. Ning Rongrong was a little confused. The 2 of them just walked on the street, and there were still many people. How did they disappear in the blink of an eye? You jinx! Wang Feng's mouth twitched. What jinx? Ning Rongrong said angrily, and suddenly realized something. She hurriedly pulled Wang Feng's arm and hid behind him like a quail and whispered, "That Shen really came, right? Why would he attack us? Logically speaking, he should attack cough." Chapter 340. At this moment, Ning Rongrong felt that the warm sunlight seemed to be slowly disappearing. Gusts of cold wind blew past, causing Ning Rongrong to shiver. She couldn't help but move closer to Wang Feng, as if he was a bonfire to absorb his warmth. "Come out." A light flashed on Wang Feng's forehead, and his calm voice spread throughout the space. With his skull's spiritual perception, he sensed the change almost immediately. An auxiliary-type soul master was able to discover the illusion I created. Although you've only appeared once, you're indeed extraordinary. An old man slowly appeared on the roof in the distance. When Ning Rongrong saw this figure, her eyes narrowed slightly. This person was teacher Shen from Songhui Academy, someone that even Dean Flinder was quite wary of. "You want to kill me?" Wang Feng glanced at Shen. Shen was stunned and laughed. "You're a straightforward person, going straight to the point?" "That's right, I want to kill you." "I don't understand." Wang Feng was puzzled. "You want to kill me for the competition, right? And also for your academy to win, right? But I only appeared once and didn't make a move. What's the point of killing me? Even if I don't appear, those rotten fish and shrimps from your Songhui Academy can't beat the 7 people from our Shrek Academy, right?" That's right, that's right." Behind Wang Feng, Ning Rongrong seemed to be cheering him on. "The reason is very simple." Shen smiled slightly. "You're auxiliary-type soul masters, so you're the easiest to kill. The others are too cunning. They're all in pairs, so it's not easy to move. Also, I can see that you have a good relationship with them. Although that Tang San is the backbone of your Shrek Academy, you're more important. Killing you will be a huge blow to your Shrek Academy. Your momentum will plummet, and you won't be able to display your strength. With my methods, they won't be able to find any evidence to make me kill you." "Yeah." Wang Feng looked at him with a black face full of question marks. "So, this is the reason for killing us? Have you thought it through?" Wang Feng pointed at Ning Rongrong. "She's the daughter of the 7-treasure glazed tile sect leader. 2 titled Douluo. You're just a soul sage. Can you handle them?" Ning Rongrong snorted and raised her head proudly. "Wang Feng is right. Do you really want to kill us? My Grandpa Jian and Grandpa Gu will not let you off." "Ha! Brat, you still don't know how powerful my remnant dream martial spirit is?" At this moment, Shen smiled. "In my domain, I'm the ruler of all things. If you want to escape my illusion, then just wait for death. As for this girl, I've already said that no one can tell who I'm going to kill. Besides, even if I let her go, I can easily make her lose her memory. I can even make her forget everything. Enjoy this feast of nightmares." After Shen finished speaking, he disappeared from the space. Wang Feng frowned slightly. He really did not expect that Shen would actually find trouble with him at this time. It was simply, however, Wang Feng remembered that Shen seemed to have a soul bone. At this moment, Wang Feng turned around and suddenly realized that Ning Rongrong's eyes had lost their color. It was as if she was in a dream. "It's an illusion." Wang Feng cursed in his heart. His black-banded spiritual skull possessed frightening and immense spiritual power. It was very unlikely that he would fall into an illusion. However, Ning Rongrong was different. "Rongrong!" Wang Feng grabbed Ning Rongrong's shoulder and shook it. He realized that there was no reaction at all. Very quickly, Wang Feng saw that Ning Rongrong's eyes had turned red. Her face had also turned red. She was so angry that she was trembling. "Wang Feng, you bastard! How dare you abandon me?" Ning Rongrong suddenly roared. She was like an angry lioness as she bared her fangs and brandished her claws. "Damn!" Wang Feng was stunned. He thought to himself, what did she encounter in the illusion? "Woo-woo, how can you do this to me? Father has already passed away. The 7-treasure glazed tile sect is also gone. Why did you abandon me?" Very quickly, Ning Rongrong's tears fell like strings of pearls. "Oh no, I've fallen too deep into the illusion." Wang Fengxin's heart sank. Shernyen was a soul sage. The illusion created by his demonic dream was generally related to the strength of a soul master's spiritual power. Wang Feng remembered that Little Three's purple demon eyes could break through any spiritual illusion. Therefore, it could deal with Shernyen. Wang Feng had the spiritual skull, so it was very difficult for him to fall into the illusion. However, Ning Rongrong was completely unable to resist it. Furthermore, this illusion dug out one's greatest fear and used this fear to devour one's spirit. It made it difficult for one to resist. No, don't come over. Don't touch me. Wang Feng will kill you. Go away. At this moment, Ning Rongrong screamed. Her fearful screams caused her face to turn pale. A fierce look flashed across Wang Feng's eyes. He grabbed Ning Rongrong's hand, but realized that it had no effect at all. In the dark. Strange. What's wrong with this kid? He didn't fall into the illusion. Shernyen's eyes were like a poisonous snake as he stared at Wang Feng, who was in the middle of the illusion. Then, I'll increase my strength. Shernyen laughed sinisterly, and a sick smile appeared on his face. I don't believe that you can still fall into the illusion with my 7 soul rings. Your head is glowing. Do you have a skull? Not bad. I can even get a skull after killing you. Seems like I've made the right choice. As he spoke, Shernyen's 7 soul rings suddenly lit up. In the distance, Wang Feng groaned. He felt as if there were countless hands reaching for him from all directions. It was as if they wanted to pull his spirit out of his body. Following this, Wang Feng's mind was blown. What strong spiritual power! Wang Feng gritted his teeth, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He seemed to have thought of something. Dark Angel. As soon as he finished speaking, all of a sudden, 6 pairs of pitch-black light wings appeared behind Wang Feng's back. 7 strange patterns slowly lit up on his body. An extremely evil aura instantly filled the entire illusory realm. You want me to sink into the illusion? Wang Feng's pitch-black eyes were like that of a demon god. They were cold and dead. He looked at Ning Rongrong, and the 6 pairs of light wings behind him flashed slowly. His skull glowed slightly. Wang Feng's eyes looked directly at Ning Rongrong, who was in endless fear. As their eyes met, Wang Feng's consciousness instantly entered the illusion that Ning Rongrong was in. Illusion, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Sect, Great Hall. Ning Rongrong looked at the 2 villains in front of her with fear. They were walking towards her with despicable smiles on their faces. She didn't know why she was here. She saw her father being killed by a titled Dalu from the Martial Soul Hall. After that, the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Sect was gone. Uncle Jian and Uncle Gu were also killed by a woman wearing crown. The huge 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Sect was filled with corpses. At this moment, Wang Feng appeared. However, he flung her hands away and left directly. It turned into this scene, 2 disciples from the Martial Soul Hall walking towards her. Chapter 341. TSK. So this is Ning Fengji's daughter? She's really a national beauty. Today, the 2 of us are going to be the lucky ones. The 2 disciples of the Martial Spirit Palace had wolf-like gleams in their eyes. Don't come over. Ning Rongrong kept retreating. She picked up the things around her and threw them at the 2 disciples. However, they were easily dodged by Ling. If you come over again, Wang Feng will definitely kill you. Ning Rongrong's face was filled with fear as she said, Get lost. Wang Feng, who is he to you? Everyone in the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Sect has been killed. One of the disciples opened his mouth and made a hissing sound. He is... Ning Rongrong was stunned. She said without thinking, He is the person I like. He will protect me. Ha! No one can protect you now. The 2 disciples rushed forward. Ning Rongrong screamed and closed her eyes subconsciously. However, after waiting for a long time, Ning Rongrong did not feel anything. She slowly opened her eyes. When she opened her eyes, she was stunned. In front of her, a man with 6 pairs of pitch-black light wings was standing behind the 2 disciples. He grabbed one of the disciples' head with one hand. Countless streams of air rushed towards him. His facial features were exquisite and beautiful. He did not look like a human at all. His entire body was emitting an extremely evil aura. It was as if he had gathered all the evilest emotions in the world. His eyes were pitch black and cold. However, Ning Rongrong was stunned. She could recognize this person from the outline of his face. It was Wang Feng. Wang Feng, you're back. How did you become like this? Wu Wu, I knew you wouldn't abandon me. Ning Rongrong rushed towards Wang Feng. She was overjoyed. All the fear in her heart seemed to have disappeared. She did not know that her fear had been absorbed by Wang Feng's dark angel martial spirit. All the illusions were broken in an instant. Ning Rongrong pounced on nothing. Then she woke up. She focused her gaze on Wang Feng. Silly girl, are you all right? Wang Feng returned to his normal state and said snappily, You were screaming like a ghost just now. I was not. Ning Rongrong looked at Wang Feng blankly. That was an illusion. You have fallen into Shi Nian's illusion. Wang Feng rubbed Ning Rongrong's temples to wake her up. Illusion. Ning Rongrong was stunned. She looked around, and when she came back to her senses, she suddenly let out a sigh of relief. So it's all fake. Then what I saw was all fake. But I saw you just now. You Rongrong. You Rongrong, Wang Feng said without batting an eyelid. The illusion of time will make people face their most fearful and fearful scene. What you see is what you're most afraid of and worried about. Then why did I see you appear in my illusion? You seemed a little different. Then, you saved me. Ning Rongrong blushed and said. She heaved a sigh of relief. I confessed in the illusion just now. Wang Feng, you didn't hear it, did you? Of course, it's what you think. Wang Feng shook his head. The more you think, the more likely it is to happen. What happened just now was what you imagined. Ah, I see. Ning Rongrong was a little disappointed. Wang Feng, do you know? I saw a very special version of you just now. So this is what I imagined in the depths of my heart. Yes, that's what you imagined. Or was the first thing you saw? Wang Feng nodded. Ning Rongrong blushed and lowered her head. She moved closer to him again, her heart warm. She was not stupid. Wang Feng must have pulled her out of the illusion just now. She just did not know what method he used. At this moment, Shi Nian's figure appeared again. Kid, what happened to you just now? Shi Nian looked at Wang Feng coldly. Just now, he clearly felt an extremely evil aura rising from this kid's body, which completely blocked his nightmare illusion. But before he could react, the girl who was trapped in the illusion woke up. This kid didn't seem to have any changes either. Nothing happened. Wang Feng looked at Shi Nian indifferently. But you could die now. With that, Wang Feng turned his palm, and the red lotus of hellfire bloomed. Me? Die? Ha ha ha. I can't die in this illusion. Kid, you can't attack me at all. Shi Nian was stunned. Then he laughed. Then stand there and don't move. Let me burn you? Wang Feng said slowly. If I can't attack you, we can just admit defeat and wait for death, right? Shi Nian looked at Wang Feng arrogantly. His body in this illusory realm was just an illusion. Moreover, he was a rank 72 soul sage. How could he be burned by a rank 45 auxiliary-type soul master? Even if he were to stand here and be beaten up for a day and night, he wouldn't even lose a single strand of hair. Then it's coming. Wang Feng looked at Shi Nian with a half-smile. Rongrong, close your eyes. Yes, yes. Ning Rongrong lay on Wang Feng's back and buried her head in his broad back. She subconsciously placed her hands on Wang Feng's shoulders. She did not want to see what was going on in front of her. She wanted to sleep. Although Wang Feng had used his dark angel martial spirit to absorb Ning Rongrong's fear and break free from the illusion, Ning Rongrong was still trapped in the illusion. However, Ning Rongrong's spiritual power was greatly depleted. Therefore, she was very tired now. Wang Feng could also use the Dark Angel to break the illusion. Furthermore, with the strength of the Dark Angel, once it possessed a body, it would not be affected by the illusion. Shi Nian might even suffer a backlash. This would cause a huge commotion because they were on the streets. Therefore, Wang Feng took out his trump card, the Red Karmic Fire Lotus. He activated the Red Lotus. Streaks of Red Lotus of Hellfire quickly burned towards Shi Nian. The moment the red karmic fire lotus appeared, even the illusory space seemed to be burned through. When the red lotus of hellfire came into contact with Shernyin, his expression changed. Then, endless fear, pain, and despair appeared on his face. It was only a streak of red lotus of hellfire. When it came into contact with Shernyin, it seemed to have received nourishment and started to burn crazily. His entire body was engulfed by the red lotus of hellfire. No matter how bright his soul rings were, no matter how much soul power he used, it was useless. In just a moment, Shernyin was reduced to nothing. Not even ashes were left. The red lotus of hellfire burns the soul. Wang Feng shook his head and said, "Once it comes into contact with the red lotus of hellfire, no soul power or physical body can resist it. It directly burns your soul. It seems like you have too much karma. I really don't know how many sins you have committed all these years. Let me count. It has only been 4 seconds." As he spoke, Wang Feng activated the red lotus and retracted the red lotus of hellfire. At this time, Ning Rongrong, who was behind him, had already fallen asleep. "There's really a soul bone." Wang Feng looked at the spot where Shernyin had been reduced to nothing. There was indeed a sparkling soul bone. Wang Feng did not hesitate. He quickly walked over and picked up the soul bone. After that, he kept it in his soul tool. At this moment, as Shernyin died, the illusion around them slowly returned to normal. Wang Feng looked at Ning Rongrong, who had fallen asleep. He carried her on his back and walked back to the academy. Chapter 342. Wang Feng wasn't surprised that he could kill Shernyin so easily. As he walked back to the academy, Wang Feng thought about the assassination attempt today. Although Shernyin was a rank 72 soul sage, he was too confident in the illusory space. In other words, no one could escape from the illusory space, and no one could hurt him in the illusory space. That was why he was so confident. Furthermore, his body was like an illusion and not a real entity. He was only using his spiritual power to control and talk to Wang Feng. Normal physical attacks wouldn't be effective against him. That was why Shernyin stood there and allowed Wang Feng to attack him. In his opinion, Wang Feng's attacks wouldn't be effective against him. Furthermore, Shernyin knew that Wang Feng was a rank 45 auxiliary-type soul master. It was a pity. The karmic fire of the Red Lotus was strong because once it touched one's soul, even if it wasn't a real entity, it would burn one's soul. Furthermore, a soul master's karma was the nourishment of the karmic fire of the Red Lotus. Given Shernyin's age and his personality, he must have done a lot of evil deeds over the years. He probably couldn't even count them all. Naturally, he would die very quickly. However, the karmic fire of the Red Lotus could be avoided. If Shernyin could sense the power of the karmic fire of the Red Lotus and tried to avoid it, Wang Feng could only use other methods. However, the karmic fire of the Red Lotus was the most effortless and convenient method to kill Shernyin. As for the skull bone that Shernyin dropped, Wang Feng couldn't use it. He wasn't sure of its effects either. I have to be very careful when I absorb the soul bone. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. He still had a 60,000-year blood-winged dragon beetle's torso bone that he hadn't absorbed. More accurately speaking, Wang Feng didn't want it. He had no choice. A human body could only absorb 6 soul bones, excluding external soul bones. His skull bone was given to him by the system. It was at least 100,000 years old, and its effects were very strong. His 2 soul skills were very practical, and together with the enhancement of his spiritual power, they were the foundation for Wang Feng to resist Shernyi's illusory space. As for the other 5 parts, Wang Fengxin believed that they wouldn't be weaker than the skull bone. As they walked back to the academy, everyone was shocked to see Wang Feng carrying the sleeping Ning Rongrong on his back. Lin Feng, did you encounter something? The Grand Master walked up and saw through the clues at a glance. With Wang Feng's usual personality, why would he carry Ning Rongrong so intimately? Ning Rongrong even fell asleep? I met Xinyan. Wang Feng sighed. Xiao Wu is also a jinx. He was right. He actually came to find me at this time. Wang Feng remembered that in the original novel, Serene went to look for the mistress. However, Tang San and Ma Hongjun left together, not alone. Ning Rongrong was caught in an illusion. Although I managed to pull her out of the illusion in time, her mind was still shaken. She should be unconscious for a day. I'll help her recover later. Wang Feng continued. Where's Xinian? After a moment of silence, the master glanced at Ning Rongrong and sighed in relief. Luckily, it was Rongrong who was with Lin Feng. If it was someone else, it would be troublesome. Dead. Wang Feng shook his head and said, This person is too murderous. He's also a little perverted. He likes to torture people in illusions. I couldn't help but kill him. Furthermore, no one noticed and no one knew that I was the one who killed Shunyan. The Red Lotus Hellfire was too perverted. There wasn't even a speck of it left behind. There were no clues at all. Furthermore, if Shunyan came to kill him, he definitely wouldn't have told anyone that he died silently. The Grand Master was stunned. Shunyan was a rank 70 soul sage. You couldn't help but kill him? Why does this sound so weird? The Grand Master was very confused. For example, if Ning Rongrong was caught in an illusion, why didn't Lin Feng seem to be? Although Lin Feng was very strong, it was very difficult for him to kill a soul sage without anyone noticing. The Grand Master was very confused, but he didn't ask in detail. There was no need to. Yes, Shunyan also dropped a soul bone. Wang Feng thought for a moment before retrieving the gem-like soul bone from his soul tool. According to my guess, Shunyan's skull soul bone should be used to strengthen his spiritual power. This is because his martial soul is illusions. The stronger his spiritual power, the harder it is for his enemies to escape from his illusions. This guess was very reasonable. The Grand Master took the soul bone and examined it carefully. He digested the information that Wang Feng had just told him before he started to think. Lin Feng, why didn't you absorb it yourself? The Grand Master asked. Your auxiliary abilities are related to spiritual power. Your guess should be right about this skull. It should be related to strengthening spiritual power. It might even have some illusions. An old soul master like Shunyan wouldn't absorb soul bones casually. The soul bone he found must be very suitable for him. It can strengthen his illusions. Wang Feng laughed. This soul bone was at most a 10,000-year soul bone. Even if he didn't have the black-banded spiritual skull, he wouldn't absorb it. Furthermore, he had a skull now. I suggest giving it to Rongrong or Oscar. Wang Feng thought for a moment before he continued. Rongrong should be the most suitable. After all, the distraction control technique that she cultivates requires very strong spiritual power. Not to mention the soul skills of the soul bone, as a skull, it will definitely increase her spiritual power. It should also increase her other senses. It will be very helpful for her cultivation. The Grand Master was stunned. He thought, this is a skull. Is Lin Feng willing to give it to someone else? Any soul bone was very precious. It wasn't something that could be bought with money. It also required a certain amount of luck. Once a soul bone appeared in an auction, countless people would fight over it, even if it was the most useless one. It might not even be possible to buy it. You and Rongrong, right? The Grand Master looked at Rongrong doubtfully. No, definitely not. Wang Feng hurriedly said. The Grand Master laughed and thought. The two of them are very compatible. Rongrong is an auxiliary. Logically speaking, she should find someone powerful to protect her. Lin Feng seems to be an auxiliary type, but his strength is undeniable. He is stronger than any of the 7 monsters. However, if you think about it this way, Lin Feng also has auxiliary abilities. It seems reasonable to find a powerful female soul warrior. The Grand Master felt a little puzzled. All right then, when Rongrong wakes up, find some time to give this soul bone to her. Let her try to absorb it when she has time. The Grand Master didn't think too much about it. I won't tell anyone about this. I don't want to worry too much. The qualifiers aren't over yet. It's best that you don't get distracted. Wang Feng nodded. This is good. However, looking at Ning Rongrong's condition, she would probably be unconscious for a day or two. Moreover, this soul bone was with Ning Rongrong. There was no need to worry about it being discovered. After all, she had the 7-treasure glazed tile sect behind her. After more than a day, Ning Rongrong finally recovered completely. During this day, the Grandmaster told the others that Rong Rong might be about to break through. Therefore, after resting for a day, no one had any doubts. During these few days, Wang Feng continued to practice the mysterious dark pierce. Because Wang Feng thought about the few elemental schools he would be facing, he specially fixed the mysterious dark pierce into a special shape to practice. Soon, it was the 10th day of the qualifiers. In a chapter, Chapter 343. It was also the 11th round of the qualifiers. Shrek Academy, who had always maintained a winning streak, met Blazing Academy this time. They were a formidable opponent. Blazing Academy lost a match in front of Purple Star College. In the following matches, they crushed their opponents with overwhelming strength. Most of the teams didn't even let Blazing Academy use Blazing Hell to change the terrain to restrict their opponents. Their moves were also very decisive. After the fight with 9, they became extremely fierce and sought to end the battle quickly. For this match, you guys can discuss. You can also send an extra person. Grandmaster looked at Shrek's 7 monsters. Usually, only the 3 monsters were sent out. Most of the time, it was Tang San, Dai Mubai, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, and Oscar, including the 4 substitutes. Actually, for this match, as long as our monster captain is here, Blazing Academy has no hope of winning. Ma Hongjun laughed, and there's no hope of winning. Hearing this, the other 6 understood the reason. But the 4 substitutes were a little confused. Little fatty, why do you say that? Jiang Zhu asked curiously. Once Blazing Academy uses Blazing Hell, the 7 of us will be easily separated. We're not like 9, who has a special soul bone to rely on. Once we're trapped in the flaming terrain, we'll be defeated one by one. Indeed, Blazing Hell used the terrain to control the entire battlefield. It was too strong. Even flying-type soul masters would be affected. Once the 7-man team was separated, the other 7 could slowly surround and attack you. And you'll also be injured by the flames. It's also a big threat to Tang San's blue silver grass. Jiang Zhu continued. They didn't know that Tang San's blue silver grass was already immune to fire. You don't know this, right? Ma Hongjun laughed. Captain's Red Lotus can absorb flames. No matter what Blazing Hell it is, once the Red Lotus appears, all the flames will be absorbed. Even attacks formed using fire energy, such as fire pillars, fire sparks, fire rings can be absorbed. It can be said that it is the natural enemy of the Blazing Academy. Upon hearing this, Jiang Zhu and the other 4 substitutes were stunned. So, Lin Feng can't play in this match. The Grandmaster shook his head. You need to arrange your own people to play. Ma Hongjun, Wang Fengxin said. Xiao San's fire immunity was also a natural counter to the Blazing Academy. However, if it was a physical attack with fire energy, such as Wu Shuang's Dragon Flame Fist, Little 3 would not be immune to it. But it was enough to defeat Blazing Academy. However, Little 3 needed to change his train of thought. This was because Blazing Hell wasn't just targeted at him. Instead, it targeted the entire group. Using Oscar's mushroom to fly into the air and then using his blue-silver grass to bind the 6 of them wasn't a good idea. This was because there was a strong heat flow in the air above Blazing Hell. It was difficult to control the light wings behind one person carrying 6 people. If they were hit by the heat flow, they would lose their balance and easily fall into the flames, causing serious damage. Moreover, flying in the air was like a target for the Blazing Academy. It was very dangerous. Therefore, this method wasn't suitable for the Blazing Academy. Wang Feng had a good idea that could help the 7 of them avoid Blazing Hell. Wang Feng saw that Tang San was still thinking, so he walked over and whispered a few words to him. Hearing this, Tang San's eyes lit up as if he had thought of something. At this moment, the match began. Tang San quickly led a few people onto the stage. The rest of the people just watched. Ning Rongrong secretly glanced at Wang Feng. She hadn't spoken to Wang Feng for the past few days. Ever since she woke up that day, she often recalled the scene in the illusion. Yesterday, she even dreamed about it. Although Wang Feng explained that the scene in the illusion was based on her own inner fear and imagination. So the Wang Feng in the illusion was her own idea? The mysterious Wang Feng with 6 pairs of black wings on his back gave off a very strange feeling. Although he exuded an even more evil aura, Ning Rongrong felt unusually close and happy at that time. But when she woke up, her head was still a little dizzy, and she quickly fell asleep. When she woke up the next day, her mind was truly clear. The reason why Ning Rongrong didn't want to talk to Wang Feng was because she was a little nervous. Although she knew that Wang Feng must have pulled her out of the illusion, she didn't want to ask how Wang Feng pulled her out of the illusion. Most importantly, he had confessed his feelings to her in the illusion. Wang Feng shouldn't have heard it at that time, right? After all, it was in the illusion. But what if she really said it outside the illusion? Wang Feng should have heard it, right? But if he heard it, why didn't he answer me? But what if he didn't hear it? Just like that, Ning Rongrong had been thinking about it for the past few days, but she was too embarrassed to ask. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing walked a little closer and whispered to Wang Feng. Did something special happen between you and Rongrong that day? Wang Feng was surprised. Why do you ask? That means something happened. Zhu Zhuqing nodded. Wang Feng. Zhu Zhuqing's voice was as clear as flowing water. She looked at you evasively. You boys might not be able to sense it, but Xiao Wu and I can. After that, Zhu Zhuqing snorted softly. It was very soft and hard to detect. Then she walked to Xiao Wu's side and didn't say anything else. Wang Feng couldn't help but look back at Ning Rongrong, just in time to see Ning Rongrong sneaking glances at him. His gaze was like that of a child who had been caught stealing snacks by his parents. He quickly retracted his gaze. Wang Fengxian wondered if Ning Rongrong had noticed something. That shouldn't be possible. She saw my dark angel appearance in an illusion. I've already told her that the illusion is fake. It's her own imagination. It's reasonable. She shouldn't be suspicious. Then why? Could it be because of what she said in the illusion? Did she think I heard it? Wang Feng seemed to have thought of something and walked to Ning Rongrong's side. In an instant, Ning Rongrong was like a frightened rabbit. She immediately took a few steps back and stammered, Wang Feng, what are you doing? After that, Ning Rongrong lowered her head with a red face and clasped her hands together. He must have heard what I said. Is he going to answer me? What if he refuses? Rongrong, do you know how I pulled you out of the illusion that day? Wang Feng said in a low voice, my spiritual power is very strong. The illusions of the past don't have much effect on me, but I have a hypnosis technique that can hypnotize myself. If I hypnotize myself, I can enter other illusions. So I wanted to enter your illusion and pull you out. Of course, I appeared as you imagined. My appearance in your illusion is all in your imagination. So I was also in your illusion at that time, looking for you. In a chapter. Chapter 344. After he finished speaking, Wang Feng coughed a few times. After hearing this, Ning Rongrong was stunned for a moment before she came to a realization. So he used this kind of method? Hypnosis? Was it some kind of special soul skill? But then, Ning Rongrong changed her mind. That is to say, Wang Feng couldn't have heard what I said, because he was looking for me in my illusion and didn't appear until the end. He couldn't have heard what I said. Thinking of this, Ning Rongrong was relieved, but she also felt a little disappointed. So that's how it is. Ning Rongrong raised her head and snorted. Then I have to thank you. But you're very different from what I imagined you to be. Hearing Ning Rongrong's tone and expression return to normal, Wang Feng thought to himself that it was because she was afraid that he would hear those words. Of course, he couldn't directly say, I didn't hear what you said, Rongrong. Wouldn't that be exposing himself? He could only use this indirect method to let Ning Rongrong realize that he didn't hear what she said in the illusion. Watch the match. I'm ignoring you. Ning Rongrong was suddenly a little angry. How could you not hear it? It wasn't easy for me to confess in the illusion. Sigh. Ning Rongrong was a little worried, but she knew that she had no reason to be angry at Wang Feng. She was angry at herself. But as the match began, her attention was gradually attracted to it. Wang Feng also looked at the match. In the arena, Tang San's team and the Blazing Academy's team had finished their preparations. Wang Feng had already simulated this match in his mind, and it wasn't much different from what he imagined. Huo Wushuang and the Fire Leopard were very strong in close combat. They directly rushed up, one of them restraining Dai Mubai, and the other restraining Xiao Wu. Immediately after, Huo Wu released a fire resistance ring and began the first step of the field control. Because Shrek had 7 people and not 1, Huo Wushuang and the Fire Leopard couldn't completely contain him. Therefore, he still needed to use a control-type soul skill to restrain Jingling, Tai Long, and Huang Yuan. As for the 2 agility-type soul masters in the air, they completed their charge and spat out intense flames towards Shrek's group of 7. This was a tactic that the Blazing Academy had no way to counter. Unless you also had a flying-type soul master, it would be very difficult to restrict 2 agility-type soul masters. The ground burned with a raging inferno under the amplification of the 2 auxiliary-type soul masters with Mars martial souls. The intensity of the fire increased by several degrees, and it was already taller than the height of an ordinary person. The blazing flames made it difficult for people to breathe. Obviously, the Blazing Academy didn't hold back at all. They planned to use blazing hell to cover the entire field. This was also the reason why many teams could only helplessly lose. It was simply too difficult to counter this move. The fierce flames burned fiercely. At this time, Huo Wushuang and Fire Leopard had already retreated. Both of them had fire-type martial souls. After being possessed by their martial souls, they had a certain degree of immunity to flames. After retreating, they only suffered some light burns. It wasn't serious. However, the 7 members of Shrek's team couldn't do it at all. Almost immediately, Shrek Academy, who had been winning continuously, was once again at a disadvantage. As expected, it still won't work. We can only rely on Third Brother. Ma Hongjun stared intently. Third Brother should still have a trump card, right? If it was me, I could also rush out. But if one person rushes out, it means that he has to face 7 people. At this time, blue-silver grass won't have any effect. Wang Feng smiled slightly. At this time, the blue-silver grass in Tang San's hand slowly bloomed. However, a mouth-watering scene appeared. The blue-silver grass wasn't burned to ashes by the flames. The pitch-black blue-silver grass surrounded Tang San and didn't suffer any damage from the flames. His blue-silver grass is immune to flames? Huo Wu's pupils shrank slightly, and the other members were also stunned. Being immune to flames was practically a natural counter to them. It should only be immune to fire energy, but not physical attacks. Huo Wushuang said in a deep voice, only his blue-silver grass is immune to fire, but it's impossible for his teammates' martial souls to be immune to fire. When he comes out later, for close combat, soul masters won't be able to beat a control type like him. What Huo Wushuang said was what Tang San had been thinking about. He was immune to fire, but at this time, if he controlled his blue-silver grass to let himself walk out, he would be besieged by 7 people. Even if he was immune to fire, it was impossible for him to beat 7 people. Don't forget that Huo Wushuang, Fire Leopard, Fire Cloud, and Fire Rain were all close combat soul masters and definitely had close combat soul skills. It wasn't just fire. Moreover, Tang San wasn't immune to Huo Wu's control skills. Tang San didn't think that he had a 9-to-1 chance, so he couldn't reach the level of 1v7. The fact that his martial soul was immune to fire shocked the audience. Although plant-type martial souls usually had soul rings that could absorb and resist fire, it was impossible to be completely immune to fire. At this time, the blue-silver grass wasn't hurt at all in the flames, so it was obviously immune to fire. I don't know how many more surprises this child Tang San will bring us. In the VIP seats, Ning Fengji exclaimed. But what does he plan to do? Blazing Academy's fiery hell isn't targeted at him alone. Gu Rong frowned. Unless he can fight 1 against 7 like 9-to-1, the 7 of them still have a lot of fighting strength left. Huo Wushuang and Dai Mubai's collision didn't consume too much energy. Dai Mubai wasn't Wang Feng, and his defense was weakened by the mysterious underworld armor. At this time, there was still a lot of fighting strength left. Although the other fire leopard soul master was injured by a Xiao Wu's waist bow, he still didn't lose his fighting strength. Not to mention the rest of them. At this time, Tang San laughed. The blue-silver grass in his hand released an intense light. Blue-silver cage. His fourth soul ring slowly lit up on his body. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. With his current fierce battle with Blazing Academy, his blue-silver cage could be easily dodged. Since the battle started, Huo Wu and the other two support-type soul masters hadn't moved or approached. In addition, they had seen Tang San's blue-silver cage before, so they were prepared. If the two teams were closer, with the speed of the blue-silver cage's release, the 7 of them would be easily hit. But now it was obviously impossible. Right at this moment, a scene that shocked everyone appeared. Tang San's blue-silver grass quickly spread out in all directions, but it didn't hit Blazing Academy's 7 people. Instead, it hit his 6 teammates. In an instant, the 6 of them were surrounded by the blue-silver cage. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. He actually used the blue-silver cage on his teammates? Huo Wu Shuang couldn't react for a moment. But Huo Wu shouted, "Quick, prepare Fire Dance of the Brilliant Sun." He wants to use the blue-silver cage to help his teammates resist the fire and then bring them out. In a chapter. Chapter 345. Hearing this, the few of them quivered and immediately reacted. They had never thought of this kind of thinking, because a normal Soul Master's thought process was to use control skills on the enemy. Why would they use it on their teammates? But sometimes when he used it on his teammates, it could have unexpected effects. Like now, Tang San used his crowd control soul skill, blue-silver cage. He wrapped his teammates in blue-silver grass into an almost sealed cage, making it difficult for the flames to burn them. Then he used controlling crane, capturing dragon to drive the blue-silver grass and threw the 7 cages out of the fiery hell. This was still a reverse thinking. Soon, the 7 people who rushed out of the fiery hell were almost unharmed. Although Fire Dance's 4th soul skill was ready, Tang San was prepared. However, Tang San was already prepared for this. He quickly pulled the 7 people together through the cage, and then created an even larger cage of blue-silver grass to meet this attack head-on. Because no one knew who this Fire Dance of the Brilliant Sun was for, the blue-silver cage alone wouldn't be able to withstand this attack. Therefore, Tang San pulled everyone together to resist together. They were still unharmed. It's time to end this. Seeing this, Wang Feng nodded slightly. From another perspective, using the blue-silver cage on teammates was actually a kind of protection. It wasn't just to avoid fire damage. Simply put, this blue-silver cage was actually a crowd control defensive skill. It wasn't just a crowd control skill. Tang San hadn't thought of this before, but Wang Feng had mentioned it. However, it depends on the timing of your execution. The outcome of the rest of the battle wasn't unexpected. The Fire Dance of the Brilliant Sun was interrupted by Wang Feng last time. This time, although it was very powerful, it was powerless in front of Tang San. After all, he was immune to fire. As long as the 7 people rushed out of the fiery hell and closed the distance between the 2 teams, Blazing Academy, which had been greatly exhausted, wouldn't be a match for Shrek Academy. The most natural was Shrek Academy's victory. Blazing Academy had nothing to say about their loss. They were powerless against someone like Huamian. Coupled with Tang San's blue-silver cage, which broke their blazing inferno, the Blazing Academy's chances of winning plummeted. Wang Feng left after watching the match. He did not wait for Tang San and the others to come back, because in this match, Purple Star College would also have to face an elemental college. When Tang San returned, everyone looked a little excited. This match was much easier than the last time he fought against Wang Jia. Most importantly, they had successfully broken through the fiery hell, and none of the 7 of them had suffered any injuries. Big brother, did you cancel your blue-silver grass? Xiao Wu skipped over and asked. Yes. Tang San explained to everyone. Didn't I consume the immortal herb before? The 2 stalks that I consumed gave my martial soul the ability to resist fire. From now on, blue-silver grass will no longer fear fire. Although they had already seen through it, they still felt a little excited when they heard Tang San's explanation. This meant that the only weakness of Tang San's blue-silver grass would no longer exist. How did you come up with the idea of using the blue-silver cage to trap 6 people? Grandmaster was also a little curious. This kind of thinking is really not something that ordinary people can think of. Big Brother Feng reminded me. Tang San smiled. He told me that the blue-silver cage's function is not only to control the enemy, but also to help teammates sometimes. So, I immediately thought of using the blue-silver cage to trap Mu Bai and the others, and then threw them out of the fiery hell. Hearing this, everyone was enlightened. Little Feng's battle strategy and soul skill usage in the battle against you guys more than a year ago can be called a Grandmaster. Grandmaster sighed with emotion. Many of his wonderful ideas can often make people's eyes light up. Little San, you can think of this in an instant. You're very smart. Tang San nodded. Moreover, Big Brother Feng's reminder also made me think of changing the blue-silver cage from a crowd control to a crowd defense. When the enemy uses a crowd attack soul skill, and I can't use my blue-silver grass to pull my teammates away in time, I can create a blue-silver cage for my teammates to defend. Tang San was indeed very smart. Wang Feng only mentioned it briefly. Tang San quickly thought of all this. It was a case of drawing inferences about other cases. The blue-silver cage itself was very tough and was very good as a defense. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard this. Right, where's Big Brother Feng? Tang San asked. He said he saw the results and went back first. Xiao Wu giggled. But next, there's a 9-1-1 match against the Divine Wind Academy. It's today's next round. Then what are we waiting for? Ma Hongjun rushed to the other side of the spectator stands. The home ground was very big, so the spectators were naturally divided into several areas. The most lively area was naturally the area near Team Shrek's match. Similarly, the area near Purple Star College's match was also very crowded. Not only were there a lot of spectators, but they were also very excited. Divine Wind Academy? Tang San led a few people to the spectator stands and looked at the other matches that had just ended on the stage. While waiting, he said, everyone from the Divine Wind Academy has the ability to fly. If it's us, it's actually not that bad. With Oscar's roasted sausages, we can also fight in the air. We have the power to fight. If it's those academies that don't have the ability to fly, it's really hard to deal with them. Even if they have long-range soul skills, it's not easy to hit them. They can also harass them at any time. A team that had air supremacy could unreasonably bombard the Soul Masters on the ground with soul skills from all angles. The captain of the Divine Wind Academy's team, Feng Xiaotian, is a rank 45 agility-type Soul Master. Moreover, his martial soul is also a variant martial soul, a Gale two-headed wolf. The Grandmaster said slowly. Similarly, he has innate full soul power and a variant martial soul. Think about it. With one person facing an entire flying team, what would you do? Everyone was silent. There was only one feeling in their hearts, troublesome. The team was troublesome, but this Captain Feng Xiaotian was even more troublesome. A variant martial soul was obviously very strong. His innate full soul power was rank 45, which was not inferior to Dai Mu Bai's. As long as the opponent was in the air and used long-range soul skills to suppress them, even the backline would find it difficult to resist. And so far, only Dai Mu Bai and Ma Hongjun had long-range soul skills. Although Zhu Zhuqing and Xiao Wu were very agile and could use blue-silver grass to jump into the air, it meant that it was easier to be attacked in the air. Moreover, the opponent could fly to dodge. In the air, Tang San's blue-silver grass was unable to control it immediately. Only after eating the mushroom intestine could one engage in aerial combat. But the mushroom intestine had a time limit. After the time limit, if he couldn't shoot the opponent down, then it would be very troublesome. In a chapter that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.